Chapter 1164. Who are they? Hurry up and tell us. Someone asked impatiently. These two are disciples of the immortal martial academy, and they aren't ordinary disciples. They are Dugu Aoyan and Li Yunfei, who are ranked first and second on the Mystic Sovereign ranking. I didn't expect the two of them to team up in the remote heaven's secret mirror. Oh, so they are the genius disciples of the immortal martial academy. No wonder they dared to show their faces in front of the Shun family and Deity Sword Villa. With their status and strength, they aren't any weaker than the disciples of the King clans. Many people discussed softly. Even the people of the Shun family and Deity Sword Villa narrowed their eyes. The immortal martial academy was also powerful. They were even stronger than the Deity Sword Villa and were on the same level as the Shun family. However, according to their information, the immortal martial academy didn't send anyone powerful this time. There were only a few ordinary elders and some disciples. I was wondering who it was. So it's the two disciples of the immortal martial academy. Although you two are quite strong, the two of you aren't qualified to enter the ancient tomb with us. The 13th young master said arrogantly. He could clearly sense that the two of them weren't at the 7th heaven reverend realm. Their auras were only at the 6th heaven reverend realm. Although they were from the immortal martial academy, he didn't put them in his eyes. After all, they weren't elders and their strength wasn't comparable to theirs. Hence, the 13th young master didn't plan to let them enter. He let the Deity Sword Villa in because their strength was similar to theirs. The 13th young master didn't have the confidence to win. Hence, he had no choice but to let the Deity Sword Villa have a share of the loot. However, it was different now. There were only two of them and their strength wasn't comparable to theirs. Hence, they wouldn't let them enter the ancient tomb no matter what. You two, I advise you to get lost. Otherwise, you'll suffer when I make my move. Elder Qin Yun snorted. Is that so? This ancient tomb doesn't belong to your Shun family. Dugu Aoyan said coldly. Don't talk nonsense with them. Get rid of them quickly. The 13th young master waved his hand impatiently. There's no need for young master and elders to deal with two brats. Let me do it. A middle-aged man stood out. I've always wanted to compete with the immortal martial academy. Now is the time. Another young man walked out. Both of them were at the 6th heavenly layer of the Venerable Realm, the same realm as Dugu Aoyan and Li Yunfei. Therefore, it was most suitable for them to take action. The two of them laughed sinisterly and quickly pounced towards Dugu Aoyan and Li Yunfei. Amongst them, the middle-aged man faced Dugu Aoyan and the young man faced Li Yunfei. The two of them attacked fiercely and mercilessly, displaying extremely powerful combat strength. However, after a series of soul-stirring sounds, the two figures flew back. What? How is this possible? The surrounding people were all dumbfounded because the ones who flew back were none other than the two martial artists of the Shun family. Dugu Aoyan and Li Yunfei stood with their hands behind their backs, and their expressions were extremely calm. Obviously, they didn't care about the battle just now. At this moment, everyone had strange expressions on their faces, and they were shocked in their hearts. One move. With just one move, the two of them had defeated opponents of the same level. This kind of method was a little too terrifying. As expected of the strongest disciple of the immortal martial academy. The surrounding people exclaimed, while the people of the Deity Sword Villa were shocked. Most of them stared at Dugu Aoyan. This brat sword technique is a little strange. The eyes of an elder from the Deity Sword Villa flickered. Indeed, I've never seen this sword technique before. It shouldn't be a martial art from the immortal martial academy. Seems like he had a fortuitous encounter. Xiao Fan also nodded slightly. Unfortunately, his cultivation was a little too weak. Xiao Fan added and no longer paid attention to it. Indeed, now that Xiao Fan's cultivation had reached the 7th sky of the honorable realm, no matter how exquisite the other party's sword technique was, it was useless in front of absolute power. The people of the Deity Sword Villa were in a heated discussion, while the people of the Shun family were gloomy. This was a slap to their faces, and it was a slap to their faces. They are a king family, and they are the kings of the same level. However, the other party defeated their people with just one move. This was too much of a mockery. Brat, I have to say that the two of you have indeed exceeded my expectations. Elder Qin Yun said coldly. However, I'm afraid you're not qualified to interfere with the ancient tombs in the mausoleum. What other moves do you have? Use them all. However, I advise you to find someone stronger. Don't be like what you did just now. After cultivating for 100 or 200 years, you're still at the sixth sky of the honorable realm. A piece of trash like him is not worthy of me fighting. Dugu Outyin stood straight and said coldly. He didn't even draw his sword when facing the middle-aged man who was at the same level as him. The middle-aged man who fought with him just now was so angry that he vomited blood. Indeed, although he looked like a middle-aged man, his actual age was more than 200 years old. Being at the sixth sky of the honorable realm at this age wasn't very good, but it wasn't too bad either. However, at this moment, Dugu Outyin called him a piece of trash. This made him so angry that he vomited blood. At this moment, Li Yunfei said calmly with his hands behind his back. Of course, don't send people who use pills to increase their cultivation. Those people can't even fully integrate their spiritual energy. Puff. When the young man from the Shen family heard this, he was so angry that he vomited blood. He did use pills to increase his cultivation. He had forcefully raised his cultivation to the sixth heavenly layer. However, very few people knew about this secret. Now that it had been mercilessly exposed, he felt too ashamed to face it. Hearing the other party's arrogant words, the 13th young master's eyes turned cold. Elder Qin Yun, on the other hand, shouted coldly. Two arrogant brats. The Shen family isn't someone you can provoke. Today, I'll teach the two of you a lesson on behalf of the Immortal Martial Academy. After saying that, his figure flashed and he quickly rushed forward. What? He's going to do it himself? Seeing this scene, the cultivators who were hiding in the dark felt their eyelids twitching. Even the people from the Deity Sword Manor were surprised. Who was Elder Qin Yun? He was an elder of the Shen family and a seventh sky honorable realm. It was obviously bullying for such a person to deal with two juniors who were at the sixth sky honorable realm. It seemed that the Shen family's defeat had made the other party anxious. Elder Qin Yun raised his hand and the spiritual energy in his body quickly condensed above him, forming a mountain that pressed forward. This mountain shone brightly and emitted a vast aura that instantly crushed the sky. Although this mountain wasn't a real mountain, it was formed by Elder Qin Yun's spiritual energy. Its power was even more terrifying than a real mountain. Chapter 1165. Dugu Outyin and Li Yunfei didn't expect that the other party would actually attack without caring about their status. The two of them looked at each other and attacked at the same time to defend against the other party's 3 spirit peaks. With a clang, Dugu Outyin pulled out his black sword and slashed out. The sword chi was vast and mighty, and the shocking sword light illuminated the entire sky. On the other side, Li Yunfei also quickly waved his palm, and agile palm shadows appeared in the air. The two of them worked together and fought against the spirit mountain in the sky. Boom! In the sky, the huge spirit mountain was slashed apart, and then it was hit by countless palm shadows. However, the terrifying energy exploded and forced Dugu Outyin and Li Yunfei to retreat. The two of them retreated more than 10 steps before stabilizing themselves. Was this the power of a 7th-level enforcer? It was indeed powerful. Dugu Outyin's arm was trembling slightly. The rebounding force just now was too terrifying. If it wasn't for his abnormal talent, he probably wouldn't have been able to withstand it. Even so, that attack made his entire arm numb. Li Yunfei's situation was the same. His face was incomparably solemn. The other party's strength was beyond his imagination. What? They actually blocked it. The surrounding people all widened their eyes in disbelief. That was the attack of a 7th-level enforcer. Not to mention 2 6th-level enforcers, even 10 6th-level enforcers might not be able to block it. Now, the other party only relied on 2 people to block the attack of a 7th-level enforcer. This was too shocking. Elder Qin Yun was also extremely shocked. He originally wanted to teach the other party a lesson and let them know that their Shen family wasn't to be trifled with. However, he didn't dare to kill the two of them. After all, They were the top disciples of the Immortal Martial Academy. And the Immortal Martial Academy wasn't weaker than their Shin family. Therefore, he only used 30% of his strength in this attack. This kind of strength could injure them without taking their lives. It could be said that this was completely within his calculations. However, he didn't expect the other party to actually block his attack. He knew that it was just a casual attack, but the difference between a 6th-level enforcer and a 7th-level enforcer was like heaven and earth. Wouldn't this scene look like he couldn't defeat the two brats in the eyes of outsiders? He couldn't tolerate this. In the next moment, his expression became extremely gloomy. "Brat, since the two of you are so stubborn, don't blame me." As soon as he finished speaking, his aura skyrocketed once again. That terrifying aura made everyone around him feel despair. In an instant, the powerful aura of the green-robed elder exploded. A vast amount of energy gushed out from his body and filled the entire space. This aura made all the surrounding martial artists tremble with fear. After that, Elder Qin Yun's hand glowed brightly as he slammed it forward. It can't be, could it be that he wants to kill the two students from the Immortal Martial Academy? When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, they all shuddered with fear. If the most outstanding student of the Immortal Martial Academy were to die here, they would definitely go crazy. At that time, no one could predict what would happen. After the terrifying energy gushed out from the palm, a bright light shone in all directions, filling the entire space. The entire void trembled. One could only imagine how terrifying that palm was. Dugu Outyin and Li Yunfei were also shocked. They did not expect that the other party would actually dare to kill them. The two of them roared and quickly increased their strength to the maximum. Then, they retreated into the distance. Because this palm was too terrifying. The terrifying energy was like a huge wave. Although it was not close, just the wind from the palm made their blood boil. This was a furious attack from a 7th heaven venerable. The two of them could not withstand it at all. Not only that, the palm quickly enveloped the two of them and was about to slam down. It's over. Those two brats are dead for sure. The surrounding martial artists sighed. They knew that Dugu Outyin and Li Yunfei could not escape from this palm. If they were hit, not even their bones would be left. Just at this critical moment, a cold snort suddenly came from the void. It was like countless claps of thunder, causing the void to explode. Then in the sky, a huge fist swung down. That fist was completely black, like a black mountain. Incomparable energy pierced through heaven and earth. On that fist, there were countless black flames dancing. When the fist was swung out, heaven and earth trembled. The airflow tumbled, like waves crashing against the 9 heavens. This fist landed heavily on Elder Qin Yun's palm. Suddenly, the palm trembled violently, stirring up the entire space. Even the wind was howling. An extremely terrifying energy exploded and swept out in all directions. Instantly, the martial artists hiding in the dark screamed and fled quickly. This energy was too terrifying. Even the aftershocks were not something they could withstand. After an earth-shattering explosion, Elder Qin Yun's big palm was quickly sent flying. Moreover, Elder Qin Yun's face darkened and he took a step back. What? The Shen family disciples and martial artists of the Deity Sword Villa were shocked. They did not expect the powerful Elder Qin Yun to be forced back. Although he only took a step back, it showed that the strength of the person who came was absolutely terrifying. When the 13th young master saw this, his face also darkened. Elder Qin Yun's face was even more ferocious. His gaze was like lightning, piercing through the front. Who dares to interfere in my Shen family's matters? Get out here. This voice was extremely terrifying. It was like tens of thousands of demonic beasts were roaring. Old man, how dare you bully my Immortal Martial Academy's disciples? Do you believe that I won't break your bones? In the sky, a furious voice rang out. Then, a figure quickly descended from the sky. Boom! This person landed on the ground like a huge mountain. The entire ground trembled and countless cracks spread in all directions. How terrifying! Who is this guy? Just by landing, he has such a terrifying aura? 7th level Reverend? It's a 7th level Reverend. Could it be someone from the Immortal Martial Academy? Everyone was discussing and were extremely curious. They all looked forward. That figure was extremely tall. He was even taller than Dugu Aotyin. He was wearing a black armor that was flickering with light. He looked like a fiend god. His sharp face was filled with coldness. His gaze was like divine lightning as he glared fiercely at the front. His voice was even colder. Your Shen family is really shameless. An old man dares to bully my disciple? If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. There was a hint of anger in this voice. Looking at this figure, the surrounding people were shocked. The 13th young master and Xiao Fan of the Deity Sword Villa narrowed their eyes and looked at the figure in front of them. This was because they could sense that this person was extremely powerful. He was not much weaker than them. On the other hand, Elder Qin Yun's face was ashen. He clenched his fists tightly and his body was trembling with anger. However, he did not immediately make a move. This was because from the previous exchange, he knew that the person in front of him was definitely not weaker than him. Senior Brother Meng, you're here. Dugu Aotyin and Li Yunfei were overjoyed. Chapter 1166. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Dugu Aotyin and Li Yunfei were the top disciples ranked first and second on the Celestial Martial Arts Academy's Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. However, someone who could be addressed as senior brothers by them was definitely extraordinary. Moreover, they knew that none of the disciples in the academy could be addressed as senior brothers by them. In other words, this person was no longer a disciple of the Celestial Martial Arts Academy, but a disciple from the previous batch. I heard that the disciples who graduated from the Celestial Martial Arts Academy, other than those who left the academy, have all entered the punishment hall. Brother, you must be from the punishment hall, right? Xiao Fan said in a deep voice. That's right. I'm a member of the punishment hall, Meng Tian. The 13th young master was shocked to hear this. You're Meng Tian who was ranked third on the previous Mystic Honorable Leaderboard? Everyone was shocked to hear this. No wonder this person was so powerful. He was ranked third on the previous Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. So it's Brother Meng. Since that's the case, you're qualified to enter the ancient tomb. The 13th young master said slowly. Meng Tian nodded and led Dugu Aotyin and Li Yunfei towards the ancient tomb. However, in the next moment, the entire ground shook and an extremely cold aura came from underground. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. Elder Qin Yun and the rest were shocked. Oh no, there's someone below. Did someone enter before us? Elder Lai's face turned gloomy. It should be. It seems to be a violent tremor caused by the seal being broken. Meng Tian's eyes flickered. Damn it, let's go. The 13th young master gritted his teeth and said with a pale face. Originally, he wanted to search the cemetery properly, but he didn't expect someone to enter before them. This made him anxious. If the other party was an expert, they would not be able to get anything if they were late. Therefore, the 13th young master, Hua Cheng, dashed forward like a bolt of lightning. Behind him, the disciples of the Shen family also dashed out. Let's go too. Xiao Fan, who was carrying a red giant sword, said quickly and then moved. Meng Tian and the other two followed closely behind. The group of people quickly entered the ancient tomb in the cemetery. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui naturally did not know what happened in the ancient tomb. Along the way, they and the dark red divine dragon broke the restrictions and seals and obtained many good items. Just a moment ago, they had broken through the last powerful seal and entered the deepest part of the tomb. It was this seal that had caused the violent tremors earlier. At this moment, they stood there. They did not rashly enter because there was a bone-chilling aura in front of them. That aura was too terrifying. Even Lin Xian wasn't completely confident. Therefore, the three of them did not enter for a while. Instead, they stayed outside and carefully investigated. In front of him was a secret chamber. It was spacious enough, but there weren't many things inside. There were only 3 coffins placed in a triangular formation. There was a clear lamp on top of each coffin, flickering with eerie will-the-wisp. There was no movement in the room. Only the 3 ghost lanterns were flickering. Who were the people buried in these 3 coffins? And where did this terrifying aura come from? Lin Xian frowned. At the side, the dark red dragon also had a solemn expression. Kid, luckily we didn't barge in recklessly. Damn it. This fellow is too treacherous. He actually has a final formation trap. Trap? What trap? Zhao Shui asked with a frown. Do you see the ground inside? That's the last trap. Hearing that, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui looked forward. The ground in front of them was cyan in color. It was paved with square cyan slabs. It was neat and tidy, not a single bit out of place. The dark red dragon explained that this should be an extremely ancient formation. You wouldn't be able to see anything from the outside. However, once you stepped on the green slabs, this formation would be activated. If you took a wrong step, endless danger would await you. The dark red dragon rubbed its chin and looked around. Let me study it. How should I break this formation? Just as the dark red dragon was studying the formation, a group of martial artists suddenly rushed in from the entrance of the tomb. These people were naturally the 13th prince and the others from before. They were originally still above, but they suddenly felt a shocking energy coming from below. Their expressions changed drastically, and they all rushed into the tomb. Oh no, there are indeed traces of people entering here. Elder Qingyun looked forward with a gloomy face. Let's go quickly. There are many formations in this tomb. Even if someone entered first, he shouldn't be able to get far. If we speed up, we might still have a chance. Elder Lai Hua from Deity Sword Villa said in a deep voice. Don't let me find out who it is. Otherwise, I'll let him know how powerful I am. The 13th prince was extremely gloomy. He was furious. He originally thought that everything in the tomb belonged to him, but he didn't expect someone to beat him to it. If it wasn't for the fluctuation of aura, he wouldn't even know that someone had entered the tomb before him. Therefore, he decided that if he saw the person who entered the tomb before him, he would kill him no matter who he was. That was the only way he could vent his anger. Let's go. The 13th prince led the disciples of the Shun family and walked forward quickly. Along the way, they saw countless skeletons and corpses. There were also traces of a fight. However, they didn't encounter any danger. This meant that the threat ahead had been eliminated by the person who had entered before them. This scene. Everyone's face turned ugly. The stronger the opponent was, the more upset they felt. And there's a treasure box here. One of the disciples of the Shun family was quick to notice a treasure box in the dark ahead. He moved quickly and arrived in front of the treasure box. That person must have left in a hurry and didn't notice the treasure box. The disciple of the Shun family was very proud. He guessed that the treasure box had been left behind. With a click, he quickly opened the treasure box. However, he was dumbfounded in the next moment. This was because there was nothing inside the treasure chest, only some remnants of spiritual energy. Damn it, the thing inside has been taken away. The disciple was so angry that he smashed the treasure box with his palm. He was furious. He was too furious. He thought that he had gotten a great bargain, but he didn't expect to be fooled. The treasure box had obviously been opened by someone before, but it was restored to its original state. However, the thing inside was gone. It was obvious that it was done by the person who had entered before them. Damn it, that person is such a bastard. Catch him. We must kill him. The martial artists of the Shun family were also furious. However, before they could finish cursing, the ground started to tremble. Chapter 1167. D***. What happened? The group of people were terrified. Oh no, it's a trap. The treasure chest should be some kind of trap. However, it was destroyed and the trap was triggered. 13th young master's face turned ghastly pale. He did not expect them to not only fail to obtain the treasure but also activate a trap for no reason. They were too unlucky. The ground shook slightly and a group of ghost soldiers crawled out from the ground. They carried a cold aura and pounced on the Shun family martial artists. Get lost! In an instant, angry shouts and sounds of fighting could be heard. What happened over there? The people from Deity Sword Villa chose the other side. Hence, they were not too sure about what was happening at the Shun family. However, the moment they entered the tomb, they started to place martial artists to spy on the Shun family secretly. Hence, they received news very quickly. Oh, you're saying that they opened an empty treasure chest, and someone even broke the treasure chest that they were fighting over, triggering a restriction trap. Elder Lai Hua squinted his eyes and said to the disciples from Deity Sword Villa, "This ancient tomb is very dangerous. Hence, do not destroy things casually. Even if you find a treasure chest, report it immediately." It was not a big deal if there were no treasures. However, if they triggered a powerful trap, it would be troublesome. The surrounding disciples nodded as they heard the angry shouts from the Shun family's disciples not far away. It seemed that the trap was not simple. After instructing the disciples, Elder Lai Hua and Xiao Fan continued on their journey. However, not long after, they found a treasure chest at the corner of the wall. The treasure chest was hidden in a pile of rocks and bones. It was very well hidden. If the people from Deity Sword Villa did not search carefully, they would not have found it. "Elder, there's a treasure chest." A disciple from Deity Sword Villa shouted excitedly. Elder Lai Hua was surprised when he heard that. His body moved and he instantly came to the vicinity. The surrounding disciples from Deity Sword Villa flew over quickly when they heard that. "Be careful. Don't fall into the trap," Xiao Fan said with a red giant sword on his back. Elder Lai Hua nodded. Then, he gathered a few elders and began to carefully conduct various tests and research. Not long after, Elder Lai Hua suddenly smiled. "Young Master Fan, we have checked. No one has opened this treasure chest. That means the item inside is still there. It had never been opened before." Hearing this, Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows and revealed a look of interest. Then, he said in a deep voice, "Be careful. Open it slowly." The surrounding disciples also held their breaths. Crack! A low voice could be heard as the treasure chest opened. But in the next moment, the smile on Lai Hua's face disappeared and was replaced by a look of horror. Yes, it should be a trap. Along with the roar, a gray mist flew out from the treasure chest and spread out in all directions. "Not good, it's poisonous gas. Hold your breath." Elder Lai Hua was infuriated. Then he dashed backward. Plop, plop. A few disciples fell to the ground, their faces dark. "Oh no, they're poisoned. Damn it. What kind of poison is this? It's so terrifying." The disciples of the Deity Sword Villa were terrified. One had to know that the weakest among them was at the fifth heaven of the Venerable Realm. However, they were poisoned in an instant. They had never heard of such a poison. Elder Lai Hua extended both of his palms and a fire dragon roared as it flew forward. The fire dragon circled around and dispersed the gray mist. Then, it brought the few disciples who had fainted back. However, at the moment of saving them, a few more disciples were shrouded by the poisonous gas and were on the verge of collapse. "Damn it! What kind of poison is this?" The older generation figures accidentally came into contact with the gray poisonous gas, and their skin immediately turned black. The elder was at the sixth heaven of the Venerable Realm. He roared and shot out a series of light shadows. However, when they entered the gray mist, they were useless. "Humph!" Xiao Fan snorted coldly. He pulled out the giant red sword on his back and slashed it down. Suddenly, countless sword chi flew out from the giant sword like a fiery sword rain and quickly filled the entire space. The sword chi was extremely sharp and carried a thick fire-based aura as if it was burning. In an instant, the poisonous gas was dispersed. Seeing this, the crowd heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Xiao Fan was here. Otherwise, if they were infected by the poisonous gas, they would not be able to survive. After destroying the gray poisonous gas, Xiao Fan asked coldly, "Elder Lai Hua, do you know what kind of poisonous gas it is? If I'm not wrong, it should be corpse poison." Elder Lai Hua's face turned ugly. "Corpse poison?" Xiao Fan frowned. "Yes, corpse poison. Moreover, it was formed by the burning of more than 10 seventh heaven of the Venerable Realm's corpses. This poisonous gas is extremely terrifying. Fortunately, young Master Fan, you're cultivating the Earth rank martial art, fiery sword art. Not only is it powerful, but it's also fire-based. That's why you can disperse the corpse poison so easily. Otherwise, we would be in danger. I understand. Xiao Fan nodded. Then he flicked out several fiery red sword qi into the bodies of the disciples who were poisoned to help them expel the poison. After half an hour, the poisonous gas on the disciples' faces gradually disappeared. He walked over slowly. Although the disciples who were poisoned were fine, the people from Deity Sword Villa were not happy. This was because they had just entered the ancient tomb and fell into a trap. Moreover, they almost suffered a large number of casualties. Before this, they had not expected it at all. It seems like this ancient tomb is more troublesome than we thought, Xiao Fan said. Yes, I reckon that it's a trap. The person who came before us must have seen through it. That's why he didn't touch the treasure box. It's funny that we thought we had picked up a treasure. In the end, we fell into a trap. Elder Lai Hua sighed. Not long after we entered, we and the Shen family fell into a trap. It seems like the person who came before us is more troublesome than we thought. Let's go. I reckon that there aren't any treasures left along the way. Xiao Fan shook his head. Then, he took the lead and quickly walked into the depths of the ancient tomb. This time, he no longer paid attention to the scenery on both sides. This was because he knew that even if there were treasures left behind, it would be a trap. On the other side, the martial artists from the Shen family were also hurrying along. Meng Tian, Duga Outyan and the other two were not in a hurry to take action. However, when they found out about the situation of the Shen family and Deity Sword Villa, they quickly gave up their previous thoughts. They had to find the person who came before them quickly. Otherwise, the treasures here would have nothing to do with them. Along the way, the 13th young master's face grew colder. This was because after walking for so long, he still had not found any trace of the person. During this process, they had already found more than 10 treasure boxes. However, all of them had been taken away without exception. Damn it. When I find that despicable guy, I'll make him spit out all the treasures that he took. The 13th young master's eyes were filled with murderous intent. That person was too despicable. He did not even leave any treasures for them. Chapter 1168. Lin Xian didn't know that he was being targeted by 3 parties. However, even if he knew, it didn't matter. After all, he was the one who had taken the treasures from the treasure chests. They had broken countless seals along the way, so their harvest was naturally bountiful. It was obvious that this tomb belonged to a great figure, and the treasures inside were probably buried with him. At this moment, Lin Xian's group of 3 had already entered the final chamber, and they were only a dozen meters away from the 3 bronze coffins. However, at this moment, the sound of air vibrating violently came from behind them. Someone's here. Lin Xian turned around and frowned. Beside him, Zhao Shui also activated her Void Heaven Eyes. Suddenly, the Void Heaven Eyes trembled, and a blurry figure appeared. Someone's here, and there's quite a few of them, Zhao Shui said in a deep voice. Lin Xian's frown deepened as he looked at the figures formed by the Void Heaven Eyes. It's actually the Shen family's disciples. It seems that we have to speed up. Ruffian Dragon, can you speed up? Lin Xian asked. It's impossible to secretly break through the seals. Of course, if you want to fall into the trap, it'll be very fast. Ruffian Dragon replied. Forget it. Lin Xian shook his head and said, let's continue with your plan. The aura of this place made him somewhat apprehensive, so unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want to fall into the trap. Then what about the people behind us? Zhao Shui asked. It's fine. This trap will probably be enough for them to suffer. Lin Xian sneered. While the 2 of them were talking, the group of people behind them had already arrived in front of the chamber. Looking at the 3 coffins and Lin Xian's group of 3, everyone became excited. After searching for so long, we finally found that person. The 13th young master was even more excited. How dare the 2 of you? Who let you in? Our Shen family was the first to discover this ancient tomb. A Shen family disciple stepped forward and pointed at Lin Xian. You discovered it first? How thick-skinned? Lin Xian revealed a look of disdain. Seeing the mocking gaze, the Shen family disciple was furious. He was just about to flare up when he was stopped by Elder Qin Yun. Elder Qin Yun's eyes flickered as he coldly said, "Brat, I'll give you a chance. Give us 70% of the treasures you obtained before, and we can let you live. Otherwise, I'm afraid that even if you obtain the treasure today, you won't be able to leave here alive." That's right. Being able to contribute treasures to the 13th young master is the greatest fortune of your life. Young man, don't make a mistake. You'd better recognize the situation in front of you. The group of people pointed at Lin Xian and sneered. Scram. In the face of the Shen family's aggression, Lin Xian only said one word. "You dare to tell us to get lost? He's really going against the heavens. Brat, do you know who you're talking to? Do you believe that I will break your bones one by one?" The Qin family martial artists were enraged. A brat actually dared to insult their Qin family. This was simply courting death. The 13th young master's eyes were as cold as swords as he looked ahead. Then he sneered in disdain. "I thought you were some expert. Turns out you're just a brat at the 5th sky of the honorable realm. Brat, you might be an expert among ordinary people, but you're nothing in front of us. Do you know who we are? We're the Qin family's martial artists. If you know what's good for you, kneel down obediently and hand over all the treasures you obtained. Then I can spare your life." Qin family? I've beaten up many disciples of the Qin family. I wonder which one you are? Lin Xian said coldly. Since the other party wanted to have a war of words with him, it couldn't be any better. He could use this opportunity to stall for time so that Hong could break the array faster. "Brat, I think you really don't want to live anymore." The 13th young master's face darkened when he heard Lin Xian's words. "Young master, don't talk nonsense with this brat. Why don't we capture him and snatch the treasures directly?" Elder Qin Yun said coldly from the side. "All right." The 13th young master nodded. "If any of you capture that brat, I'll give him half an earth-rank martial skill. I'll go." The disciples were all excited when they heard the reward. Immediately, 2 young martial artists rushed out and flew forward with a hideous smile. "Die, brat! How dare you offend the Qin family?" Both of them were at the peak of the 5th sky of the honorable realm and could even fight against a 6th sky of the honorable realm. Therefore, in their opinion, capturing a 5th sky brat was a piece of cake. However, as soon as they entered the secret chamber, they were attacked by a pale white flame. Immediately, the 2 of them were engulfed by the flame. They screamed in pain before their bodies burned and turned into ashes. In an instant, the 2 of them turned into ashes. What? How is this possible? What kind of flame is this? How can it be so terrifying? The martial artists of the Qin family were all stunned. The people of the Deity Sword Villa happened to arrive at the back. When they saw this scene, they gasped. Even Elder Lai Hua had a grave expression on his face. He cultivated a fire-based martial skill. However, just now, the white flame made his heart palpitate. This was simply too inconceivable. "Brat, how dare you kill the disciples of the Qin family? You're dead meat." The 13th young master was surrounded by a murderous aura. "Idiot!" Lin Xian snorted. "What did you say? How dare you scold me?" The 13th young master was trembling with anger and was about to attack. At this moment, Lin Xian's voice was heard again. "Firstly, I didn't kill them. If you're not blind, you should be able to see it clearly. Secondly, so what if you're from the Qin family? If I want to kill someone, none of you can stop me. Let me give you a piece of advice. Get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." The 13th young master was trembling with anger when he heard Lin Xian's words. Who was he? He was the 13th young master of the Qin family. Usually, no one dared to provoke him. Even the disciples of the Qin family had to be careful when they saw him. However, someone dared to scold him? That was courting death. "Brat, you're dead meat. It doesn't matter if you hand over the treasure or not. You're dead meat." The 13th young master was like the god of death. However, Lin Xian was not moved at all. He turned around and ignored these people. The 13th young master was furious when he saw this. He raised his hand and slapped out. Boom! A terrifying palm shadow blasted forward. The entire space was about to split open. However, when the palm shadow entered the secret room, It was extinguished by a ball of white flame and disappeared in the air. What? It can even burn the energy of a seventh heaven honorable? Everyone was dumbfounded. They did not know what kind of flame it was. It was so terrifying. It was the 13th young master's attack. It was much stronger than an ordinary seventh heaven honorable. Even so, it could not enter the space in front of him. Chapter 1169. The power of the pale white flames was beyond everyone's expectations. Even the 13th young master was stunned. He did not expect his attack to be neutralized. Damn it, what are those flames? Why can those people enter? He stared at Lin Xian's back with a cold gaze. Young master, this should be a formation. At the side, Elder Qing Yun's expression was also solemn, but as for how to break it, this old man did not understand at the moment. The 13th young master's face turned gloomy. This was not good news for him. If they could not break the formation, it would be even more dangerous to barge in. That was because they knew that the space in front of them was filled with pale white flames. Those flames were extremely terrifying. Even a 7th level venerable might not be able to resist them. Therefore, the 13th young master did not want to be surrounded by those flames unless he had no other choice. However, if they could not break the formation, they could only watch as Lin Xian and the others took the treasure. This kind of thing was even more intolerable to them. At the side, the people from Deity Sword Villa also had gloomy expressions because they could not break the formation either. In the end, the people from the two forces quickly discussed and decided to break the formation together. They could not let that kid take the treasure. Otherwise, if news of this spread, they would say that so many elites could not do anything to two thieves. That would definitely be an extremely embarrassing thing. After all, these people were from the top forces and there were many seniors present. Therefore, after some discussion, they finally found a solution. A few seniors took the lead and carefully walked into the secret room in front of them. The first few steps were not dangerous, and the pale white flames did not appear either. It seemed that they had found the right method. The seniors heaved a sigh of relief. However, in the next moment, an elder from the Shun family took a step forward and stepped on the limestone floor. Suddenly, countless flames emerged from the ground and instantly enveloped that elder. Ah! That elder screamed and his entire body burned. He roared crazily and wanted to put out the flames, but he could not do it at all. In an instant he was burned to ashes. Seeing this, everyone's scalps went numb and their faces were filled with fear. That was a 6th level venerable. However, it was burned to ashes in an instant. This white flame was too terrifying. For a time, the older generation figures in front of him didn't dare to walk around. Instead, they quickly studied it again. Amidst this tense atmosphere, another 3 figures arrived. These 3 people were naturally Meng Tian and Duge Outyin. They just happened to see the scene of the 6th heavenly layer elder being burned to ashes, and were immediately shocked. They didn't need to think to know that there was an extremely terrifying array formation ahead. However, when Duge Outyin and Li Yunfei really arrived before them, they were stunned. That was because they noticed an extremely familiar figure standing in front of them. Lin Xian, why are you here? Duge Outyin was stunned. Are you the one who came in early? Li Yunfei was also shocked. What? Lin Xian? He's Lin Xian, that disciple from the Immortal Martial Academy? Hearing Li Yunfei Duo's words, the surrounding martial artists also burst into an uproar. They didn't expect that the person who shocked them was also a disciple of the Immortal Martial Academy. They had heard a lot about Lin Xian's name, but that didn't mean that they had seen him before. That was why they didn't recognize him before. However, now that someone said it, they all understood. That was because they knew that the other party was a very mysterious existence. They had also heard of what had happened before. A 5th heaven venerable had forcefully snatched the most precious treasure from the hands of several top experts and had even successfully escaped. Not only that, it seemed that the other party could even fight against a 7th level venerable. Moreover, he left calmly when facing the pursuit of the top experts of the War God Palace. Regardless of which incident it was, it made Lin Xian extremely mysterious. Previously, They didn't really believe these rumors because, in their opinion, these rumors were too exaggerated. After all, how could a 5th-level venerable be compared to a 7th-level venerable? But now, it seemed that they were somewhat convinced. Because their 2 top clans didn't break the array formation, but the other party easily walked into the depths of the array formation. Damn it, this kid must have a secret. What's a secret? I only know that this kid has a lot of treasures. If we can catch him, those treasures will all be ours. In an instant, countless cultivators stared at Lin Xian with burning eyes. Lin Xian also turned his head and looked at Dugu Outyan and Li Yunfei. He nodded slightly. What a coincidence, you guys are here too. He said with a smile, then looked at Meng Tian who was at the side. What a powerful aura. He realized that the other party's aura was very powerful. It wasn't any weaker than the 13th prince or Xiao Fan from the Deity Sword Villa. As if seeing the doubt in Lin Xian's eyes, Dugu Outyan explained, this is senior brother Meng Tian, who ranked 3rd on the previous Mystic Venerable leaderboard. He's now a member of the Punishment Hall. A member of the Punishment Hall? Ranked 3rd on the previous Mystic Venerable leaderboard? No wonder he was so powerful. Lin Xian understood and then smiled as he cupped his fists. Greetings, senior brother Meng. Your junior brother Lin? I've heard rumors about you, but now that I've met you, I realize that you're indeed extraordinary. Meng Tian wasn't lying because he felt a dangerous aura from Lin Xian. He didn't feel that way even when facing the 13th prince or Xiao Fan. Therefore, he was very curious and fearful of Lin Xian. After Meng Tian and the other 2 arrived, they didn't rush forward. After all, they were still young and didn't know much about formations. Therefore, they didn't dare to rush forward. The 3 of them stood outside and waited for the right time. However, not long after, the dark red divine dragon's body shook and he roared excitedly. It's broken. I've finally broken this formation. Along with his voice, there was a slight tremor in front of him. Then, a terrifying aura quickly disappeared. It's broken? Lin Xian was shocked. He originally thought that the dark red divine dragon would break the formation bit by bit. Then, he would be able to get closer to the bronze coffin. However, he didn't expect the entire formation to be broken. This was something that he had never expected. Since the formation was broken, it meant that the people outside could enter. Therefore, without hesitation, Lin Xian immediately took action and flew toward the bronze coffin closest to him. The people outside were also stunned. Then, they understood what had happened and were overjoyed. They didn't expect that the formation that had given them such a headache would be broken by a red snake. This was simply too unexpected. However, they didn't care how the snake had broken it. At that moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the 3 bronze coffins. Needless to say, since the bronze coffins were protected by such a powerful formation, there must be something extremely precious inside. Chapter 1170. The 13th prince, Xiao Fan, and the rest took the lead. Since there were only 3 bronze coffins, these people went crazy and attacked quickly. This was because they might not be able to get anything if they were late. Lin Xian was the closest to the bronze coffin on the left, so he was the first to attack. Zhao Shui ran toward the bronze coffin in the middle. As for the one on the right, they abandoned it because the current situation did not allow them to be greedy. It was already good enough that they could save one. The dark red divine dragon did not attack. It did not snatch any of the coffins. Instead, it jumped to the side and watched the show. Die, brat! The 13th prince roared and charged toward Lin Xian. He had his reasons for doing so. Firstly, he wanted to capture Lin Xian and snatch all the treasures in his hands. Secondly, he wanted to take the bronze coffin on the left. Therefore, he went straight to Lin Xian as soon as he came in. On the other hand, Elder Qing Yun ran toward the bronze coffin in the middle. Xiao Fan, Meng Tian, and the rest rushed toward the one on the right. The others were also fighting over the coffins. The whole place was chaotic. However, not everyone was qualified to get close to the bronze coffins. At this moment, the 3 ghost lanterns on the 3 bronze coffins were jumping and emitting a cold aura. In an instant, the weaker martial artists were sent flying and vomited blood. There were only about 10 people left in the space. Apart from the 13th prince and the rest who were at 7th heaven honorable realm, the rest were at 6th heaven honorable realm. Of course, there was one exception, and that was Lin Xian. He was only at 5th heaven honorable realm. However, he was safe and sound in the face of the power of the ghost fire. Although Lin Xian dodged the ghost fire's attack, the 13th prince did not plan to let him go. The 13th young master dashed towards Lin Xian and threw out a punch. His fist was imbued with the power of thunder and lightning. It was aimed at Lin Xian's head. If the punch landed, even a 7th heaven honorable realm would not be able to resist it. The fist formed by lightning was extremely dazzling. When the fist was thrown, the entire sky shook. One could even clearly see countless bolts of lightning streaking across the sky. In the blink of an eye, the fist was right in front of Lin Xian's eyes. It looked like it was about to smash Lin Xian's head. At this moment, Lin Xian also moved. Scram! Lin Xian abruptly turned his head and shouted coldly. As soon as the word, scram, came out, it was like a clap of thunder, causing the void to tremble incomparably. Not only that, but the sound wave also contained purple lightning that surged forward. This sound wave was like a purple sea of thunder, with a long tail of light, and quickly blasted towards the lightning fist. The two bolts of lightning collided in the air, followed by an earth-shattering explosion. That terrifying energy fluctuation swept out in all directions, causing all the surrounding martial artists to retreat. The cultivators who were watching the battle from afar were all shocked. They had never imagined that a 5th sky venerable realm brat would be able to resist the 13th young master's attack. This was simply inconceivable. One had to know that the 13th young master was extremely powerful. Even an ordinary 7th sky venerable realm cultivator would not be able to go against him. However, a 5th sky venerable realm brat had actually blocked his attack. They could not believe it. The 13th young master was also stunned. Then his face turned extremely ugly. This result was directly out of his expectations. In his opinion, his punch would definitely be able to smash Lin Xian's head. At that time, he would only need to snatch Lin Xian's storage ring and open the bronze coffin. This way, the treasure would be his. Moreover, he would be able to vent the hatred in his heart. However, the truth was that Lin Xian had easily blocked his attack. Damn it, I don't believe it. The 13th young master went crazy. He did not dare to believe it at all. One had to know that there was a difference of 2 realms between the two of them. With a furious roar, countless bolts of lightning surged out and condensed into a lightning spear. Then, the 13th young master's arm shook and instantly, the lightning spear in his hand quickly pierced out. Like a ray of light of death, the lightning spear dragged a long tail of light as it quickly streaked across the void. Lightning! Lin Xian snorted coldly. He had recently absorbed the lightning power of the purple thunder divine bamboo, so he was not afraid of the 13th young master's lightning attack at all. With a flick of his finger, purple lightning gathered at the tip of his finger. Then, it quickly turned into a purple longsword and slashed forward. A sword ray that could tear the heavens and earth apart flew out and quickly collided with the lightning spear. Suddenly, violent energy exploded, and rubble flew through the air, slapping in all directions. What? He can really go against the 13th young master. It's not a fluke? Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists were all stunned. They could not believe it. Originally, they had thought that Lin Xian could block the first attack because of luck. However, he had blocked the second attack. This was not something that could be explained by luck. Even if the 13th young master was careless the first time and did not use his full strength, he would definitely not be careless the second time. However, Lin Xian could consecutively block 2 attacks. This meant that he was definitely not weaker than a 7th sky venerable realm cultivator. Thinking of this, everyone was shocked and took a deep breath. If Lin Xian was a 7th sky venerable realm cultivator and could go against the 13th young master, then it would be fine. However, he was clearly only a 5th sky venerable realm cultivator, but he could unleash battle power that was not weaker than a 7th sky venerable realm cultivator. This was simply too terrifying. Damn it, this kid is too strange. Elder Qing Yun, who was fighting with Zhao Shui, saw this scene and his pupils constricted. Old thing, you should be more concerned about yourself. Zhao Shui snorted coldly. Golden light flickered in her eyes. Together with the void sky eye above her, she unleashed an extremely fierce attack. Elder Qing Yun immediately roared in anger. Impossible, how is this possible? The 13th young master could not believe it. In the next moment, he gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, I don't know why your battle power is so strange, but even if you have the strength of a 7th sky venerable realm cultivator, you will still die. Because no one can challenge me." The 13th young master's face was cold as he shouted, "Great Sun Thunder Technique." Chapter 1171. Kid, to be able to force me to use the Great Sun Thunder Technique, I have to say that you have some ability. But that's all. Next, I will let you know what true power is. Finishing his words, the 13th young master's eyes narrowed and his palm quickly blasted forward. Suddenly, the lightning sun behind the 13th young master was like a small mountain, quickly pressing down on Lin Xian. Everywhere it passed, the void shattered and a sea of lightning spread out. Earth rank martial art, Great Sun Thunder Technique. Lin Xian frowned. He did not expect the 13th young master to have a lightning-attributed earth rank martial art. This was good stuff. However, even with the Great Sun Thunder Technique, Lin Xian was not afraid because he also had an earth rank martial art. Gale Lightning Sword. Lin Xian let out a low growl as the lightning on his body surged rapidly, forming a gigantic sword that soared into the sky and slashed forward. When the huge sword formed by purple lightning appeared, a terrifying aura surged in the sky. It was as if this sword could destroy everything. Looking at the huge sword formed by purple lightning, the surrounding martial artists were all shocked. What sword technique is this? It's so terrifying. Damn it, this aura is so terrifying. Why do I feel that it's not any weaker than the Great Sun Thunder Technique? Could it be an earth rank martial art too? Everyone discussed as if they had seen a ghost. The Shen family disciples' faces were even uglier. Damn it, why does this kid have an earth rank martial art? So what if he has an earth rank martial art? He's not as strong as the 13th young master, so he can't display the true power of an earth rank martial art. Just watch, maybe he hasn't even grasped the surface of it. A group of people sneered, unwilling to accept the truth. Seeing Lin Xian's huge purple sword slashing towards him, the 13th young master was also stunned. From this aura, it was obviously the aura of an earth rank martial art. Damn it, this kid has an earth rank martial art too. The 13th young master was very surprised. But soon he sneered. So what if he has an earth rank martial art? I've already cultivated the Great Sun Thunder Technique to the initial stage. One had to know that earth rank martial arts were extremely difficult to cultivate. Even if there were people who obtained earth rank martial arts, martial artists who cultivated to the minor accomplishment realm were very few. He did not believe that a 5th layer venerable like Lin Xian could cultivate an earth rank martial art to the initial stage. His opponent's cultivation was inferior to his, and his grasp of earth rank martial arts was inferior to his as well. So as far as he was concerned, his opponent had no possibility of defeating him. Therefore, he was completely at ease in this exchange. In the void, the two great earth rank martial arts collided, emitting an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation. Under the horrified gazes of the crowd, the sun formed by the Great Sun Thunder Technique shattered. It was shattered by the giant sword formed by the purple lightning. Impossible! The 13th young master let out a heart-wrenching roar and quickly retreated. He had never thought that this would happen. After all, he was a 7th level exalted, and he was from a king clan. His strength was much stronger than many ordinary 7th level exalted. Adding on the fact that he had already cultivated the Great Sun Thunder Technique, an earth rank martial art, to the initial stage, there were not many people in the same rank who were his match. However, he had been forced back by a mere 5th heavenly layer exalted. But I don't believe it. The 13th young master roared crazily, and his terrifying voice shook the surroundings. At the side, the experts who were fighting for the other two bronze coffins also turned their heads to look. After that, other than Zhao Shui, who was expressionless, the other experts were all shocked. Xiao Fan from the Deity Sword Villa, Meng Tian from the Immortal Martial Academy, and the others all focused their gazes on Lin Xian. They could feel how powerful Lin Xian was. He was a powerful opponent. On the other hand, Dugu Outyin and Li Yunfei were shocked. How long had it been since they separated? Lin Xian was already able to fight against a 7th-level exalted. This was too shocking for them. As for the elders, their eyeballs were about to pop out, especially Elder Qin Yun. His eyelids were twitching, and his face was filled with worry. However, he was being held back by Zhao Shui, and there was no way for him to go and rescue the 13th young master. "Brat, I want you dead." A terrifying voice shook the 9 heavens. The 13th young master's black hair fluttered in the wind, and his entire body was surrounded by lightning. He's angry. He's really angry. If he didn't kill this brat in front of him, he wouldn't be able to swallow this anger. Thunder God's Fist. With a roar, the 13th young master performed the ultimate skill of the great Sun Thunder technique, Thunder God's Fist. Instantly, as his fist surged out, lightning flashed in all directions. Just the aftershock alone was enough to penetrate a 7th-level exalted. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He had just performed the Gale Lightning Sword technique. However, beside the purple firmament sword shadow, another 2 huge sword shadows appeared. One of them was completely red, and it was completely formed by flames, emitting a scorching aura. The other was completely golden, as if it was made of gold, and it contained a sharp aura. The fire and wind concepts merged into the Gale Lightning Sword technique, forming another 2 firmament sword shadows. Then, along with the purple firmament sword shadow, 3 huge sword chi slashed forward rapidly. The space in front of him was slashed open, and the violent energy drowned everything. The 13th young master had performed his ultimate skill, but he was still sent flying and vomited blood. He's been sent flying? Everyone was stunned because they realized that the 13th young master was in a worse state than before. Last time, he was only pushed back, but this time, not only was he sent flying, he even vomited a large mouthful of blood and was heavily injured. "Young master!" Elder Lai Hu screamed when he saw this scene. He didn't expect the 13th young master to be defeated so quickly. He didn't even have the chance to summon his martial soul. However, just as he screamed, Zhao Shui also activated her Void Sky Eye and shot out a golden ray of death, instantly sending Elder Qin Yun flying. In an instant, the 2 7th-level exalted stage exalted of the Shun family were severely injured. This caused the disciples of the Shun family to be dumbfounded, as if they had been struck by lightning. Lin Xian didn't care about those people. He slammed his palm on the bronze coffin, opening it instantly. Unlike what he had imagined, there was no corpse inside. Instead, there was a ball of lightning the size of a fist. However, this lightning was white, and it was different from ordinary lightning. The aura of this lightning was extremely cold. To be honest, Lin Xian had never seen such an aura of lightning before. However, the dark red divine dragon screamed, "This is Yin lightning." Yin lightning? Lin Xian was puzzled. This Yin lightning is extremely rare. It can only be formed from the corpse of a peerless expert in a special environment. Once formed, this Yin lightning is extremely powerful. Moreover, it is different from ordinary lightning. Its cold aura can catch other martial artists off guard. Kid, I have to say that you are very lucky. With this Yin lightning, you can condense a lightning martial soul. Lightning martial soul. Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Chapter 1172. Soon, the Yin lightning reacted instinctively. It turned into countless white lightning bolts and bombarded Lin Xian. After knowing how terrifying the Yin lightning was, Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless. A flash of purple lightning appeared on his palm and quickly resisted the attack. More and more purple lightning bolts appeared and surrounded the ball of white lightning. Then Lin Xian dragged it into the mysterious space in his body. Now wasn't the time to absorb it. He had to leave this place and wait for a safe place to absorb it. On the other side, Zhao Shui also opened the bronze coffin. It wasn't lightning but a ball of white flame. It was similar to the mysterious white flame from before. However, this flame was even more mysterious. It was pure white and pulsated. However, it didn't give off a hot aura. Instead, it gave off an abnormally cold feeling like ice. Fire. The dark red dragon was shocked. He didn't expect fire to appear in the second coffin. This thing was similar to lightning. It was formed from the corpse of a peerless expert. Moreover, the conditions to form it were extremely harsh. When Zhao Shui heard this, she smiled and used her void sky eyes. She quickly formed a golden vortex and sucked in the flame. Seeing the two of them take the treasures, the other elders sighed. They knew that they had no fate with the treasures. At the same time, they were shocked. Even if they wanted to take the lightning and fire, it would take them a lot of effort. However, they didn't expect the two young men in front of them to take it so easily. Even though the entire process seemed slow, it took only an instant for Lin Xian and Zhao Shui to defeat their opponents and collect the treasures. When the people from the two clans reacted, the treasures were already taken by the two of them. They were extremely disappointed. The reason for that was because from the looks of it, unless they defeated Lin Xian and the young man, they would only be able to retrieve the treasure. Otherwise, they would have no chance at all. However, could they defeat Lin Xian and Zhao Shui? Everyone felt a chill in their hearts when they thought of their previous performance. Up until now, no one dared to challenge the two of them. Therefore, everyone's attention was on the third bronze coffin. The Immortal Martial Academy and the Deity Sword Manor were fighting over the third bronze coffin. Meng Tian was tall and burly. Spiritual energy surged all over his body as he fought fiercely with Xiao Fan from the Deity Sword Manor. As for Duge Outyan and Li Yunfei, they joined hands to fight against Raging Flame Elder Zhang. Although the two of them were suppressed by Elder Lai Hua and were at a disadvantage, they did not show any signs of being defeated. Therefore, the third bronze coffin was still an ownerless treasure. The 13th Prince and Elder Qing Yun were also suppressing their injuries. They looked at Lin Xian and Zhao Shui with killing intent in their eyes. However, they didn't retaliate immediately. Instead, they stared at the third coffin. The first two doors had already yielded treasures, so the third one would definitely be extraordinary as well. Revenge could wait, but he had to get his hands on the treasure. Therefore, the 13th Prince and Elder Qing Yun roared and joined in the fight for the treasures. With the addition of the two of them, the fierce battle became chaotic again. The Shen family and the Deity Sword Manor were on par with each other. They both had 2 level 7 experts, but Dugu Outyan's side was at a disadvantage. This was because Meng Tian was the only level 7 expert. Dugu Outyan and Li Yunfei were both level 6 experts. However, the two of them could still fight against a level 7 expert if they joined forces. This didn't mean that the two of them weren't talented, but they were younger than the 13th Prince and the rest by a few years. If they were given a few years to grow, they would be on par with Meng Tian. No one doubted that. However, they were still no match for the 13th Prince and the rest. Duge Outyan and Li Yunfei were about to be beaten out of the fight. At this moment, Lin Xian moved. Seeing Lin Xian move, Zhao Shui followed closely. Soon, the two of them joined the fight for the third coffin. Seeing the two of them fighting, the martial artists in the distance exclaimed, "It's him. That kid is fighting again. Damn, he's too greedy. They have already snatched 2 coffins. Are they going to snatch the third one? That's too much." The disciples of the Shen family and the martial artists of the Deity Sword Villa roared in anger, especially the disciples of the Shen family. Because as far as they were concerned, those 2 treasures belonged to them. However, they were snatched away by Lin Xian. Of course, that was just their wishful thinking. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's actions attracted the attention of the 13th Prince, Xiao Fan, and the rest. When they saw the two of them rushing towards the third bronze coffin, their faces turned green. "Damn that kid. He's too much. Kill him. I must kill him." The group of experts roared. "Kid, don't be greedy." Elder Qing Yun's face was hideous. "There are so many of us. I don't believe that he can snatch the third bronze coffin." On the other side, Elder Lai Hua snorted. "Don't worry. We already have 2 treasures. We won't snatch the third one. Lin Xian said calmly. The 13th prince and the rest heaved a sigh of relief. However, they soon became suspicious. Then what are you doing here? Are you here to watch the show? Nothing much. However, I'm still a disciple of the Celestial Martial Academy. Since I have such treasures, I naturally have to keep them for my fellow disciples. Lin Xian then turned to Duge Outyan and the other two and said, I'll hold them back. You guys hurry up and attack. Alright. Duge Outyan and Li Yunfei were overjoyed. Meng Tian said gratefully, Junior brother Lin, thank you. We'll remember this favor. If you need our help in the future, just let us know. He did not expect Lin Xian to take the initiative to help them. One had to know that these were extremely precious treasures. Even if they were fellow disciples, very few of them would be willing to share them with others. However, Lin Xian was very generous and even wanted to help them block the enemies. This made the three of them very grateful. The 13th prince, Xiao Fan, and the rest had a gloomy expression. Lin Xian did not put them in his eyes at all. Brat, you're courting death by doing this. The 13th prince said coldly. Let's see what right you have to say such big words. On the other side, Xiao Fan held the red giant sword tightly. Sword light flashed in his eyes and he looked extremely fierce. The two elders roared, let's join forces and capture these two thieves. When the time comes, we'll split the treasures on them equally. As soon as they finished speaking, the four of them rushed toward Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. The 13th prince and Xiao Fan rushed toward Lin Xian while the two elders rushed toward Zhao Shui. They attacked crazily and were determined to capture the two thieves. If it was a head-on clash, Lin Xian was not confident that he could defeat the two elite prodigies. However, it was different now. He only needed to stop them. This way it would be much easier. Streams of icy aura surged out, turning into ice walls and chilly winds that surged forward rapidly. Chapter 1173. The 13th prince and Xiao Fan were the first to bear the brunt of the attack. They felt a chill rush into their bodies as if it was going to freeze their blood and spiritual energy. Disperse! The 13th young master let out a furious roar, and a powerful energy burst out from his body. Lightning surrounded his body, shattering the ice energy. On the other side, Xiao Fan's sword radiance surged and slashed in all directions. In just an instant, the ice shattered. However, during this delay, Meng Tian and the other two had already worked together to blast open the bronze coffin. Damn it! When Lai Hua and Elder Qin Yun saw this scene, their eyes turned red as they quickly rushed forward. However, Zhao Shui used her void sky eyes and shot out an illusory attack. Instantly, the two elders' bodies trembled and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. Oh no, it's a soul attack! Their faces turned pale and they were shocked. It was obvious that they were at a disadvantage from the sudden soul attack. Therefore, the two elders were stopped in their tracks. On the other side, the 13th prince and Xiao Fan had already broken through the ice and were charging towards Lin Xian. One move. As long as the two of them unleashed one more move, they would be able to get rid of Lin Xian. At that time, they would be able to fight for the treasure. At the thought of this, a cold smile appeared on their faces. At this crucial moment, the 13th prince did not hold back. He roared and summoned his martial soul. His martial soul was a bolt of lightning. The moment the lightning martial soul was summoned, a terrifying aura filled the entire sky. The surrounding martial artists were all trembling. The 13th prince was also domineering. Lightning surrounded his body and condensed into a thunder battle robe that covered his body. The lightning martial soul accompanied him and could be integrated into his attacks at any time. Seeing that the 13th young master had summoned his martial soul, Xiao Fan also let out a long howl and summoned his martial soul. His martial soul was a ball of flame. It was extremely red and looked like a fire spirit. The moment the flame martial soul was summoned, a scorching heat wave swept through the 9 heavens. The entire space seemed to be melting. The moment the two summoned their martial souls, their auras surged. The terrifying energy fluctuation was like a vast ocean, causing the people in the distance to tremble. In the next moment, the two of them attacked Lin Xian. This aura is too terrifying. That brat is definitely dead. Needless to say, when two top-notch prodigies summoned their martial souls, there was probably no 7th-layer venerables who could block that kind of attack. No matter how strange that brat was, he definitely wouldn't be able to block that kind of attack. The group of people sneered. On the other hand, Lin Xian's expression was ice-cold as his eyes flickered. Martial soul competition? He sneered disdainfully. Until now, he had never seen anyone with a martial soul that was stronger than his great dragon sword soul. With a long roar, Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind. Countless sword beams shot out from his body, illuminating space and time. Then, a sword shadow quickly appeared in front of him. The sword shadow was in the shape of a dragon, accompanied by a series of deep dragon roars. As soon as the dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, the entire space began to tremble rapidly. A terrifying pressure shook the entire space. The surrounding martial artists all vomited blood and flew out. Damn it, what is this thing? Those people crawled up from the ground, their faces filled with fear. It was too terrifying. Just the aftershock alone was enough to send them flying. Perhaps even the 13th Prince and Xiao Fan's martial souls weren't that powerful. Could it be that the dragon-shaped sword shadow is his martial soul? Someone's body trembled. What kind of joke is this? He's just a 5th-layer venerables. How could he have such a powerful martial soul? The crowd went crazy. They were completely stunned. On the other hand, the 13th Prince and Xiao Fan's faces changed drastically. This was because after the dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, their martial souls actually started to tremble. This was something that had never happened before. It can suppress their martial souls? What exactly is that dragon-shaped sword shadow? Could it really be that brat's martial soul? A tinge of fear appeared in their eyes. His body, which was moving forward, suddenly stopped in the air. They didn't dare to move forward anymore because they felt a great threat. They were afraid that something extremely dangerous would happen if they moved forward. Not only did the dragon-shaped sword shadow intimidate the 13th Prince and Xiao Fan, but it also shocked the two elders who were standing beside them. This was because the pressure had also affected them, causing the blood in their bodies to churn. Oh no, retreat! The two elders' faces changed drastically. They were afraid that Lin Xian would attack them, so they immediately retreated to a safe distance. This scene was too shocking. Lin Xian didn't even attack. He only remembered the dragon-shaped sword shadow, and it was enough to scare the 4 experts away. No one dared to move forward. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. At this moment, Meng Tian and the other 2 opened the 3rd bronze coffin. Inside the coffin was a white wood that emitted a unique aura. Chapter 1174. After leaving the ancient tomb, Lin Xian bade farewell to Meng Tian and the other 2 and flew into the distance. Meng Tian and the other 2 also left quickly. In the deep mountains, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui revealed themselves and landed in the forest. Then, the dark red divine dragon quickly set up a formation. After doing this, the 2 of them heaved a sigh of relief. It was impossible for those people to find this place. Then, Lin Xian sat cross-legged and closed his eyes. His soul power quickly entered the mysterious space in his body. There was a fist-sized ball of white lightning. It was struggling, but it was surrounded by countless purple lightning bolts. However, looking at the situation, it would not take long for the white lightning to break through the purple lightning's defense. Of course, this was under the condition that Lin Xian did not make a move. Now that Lin Xian was here, how could he allow the white lightning to escape? In the next moment, he brought the white lightning into the mysterious space. When the white lightning appeared in the outside world, it immediately emitted a horrifying cold aura. The aura was very strange. It was violent and cold, causing the entire space to tremble. Even Zhao Shui's body trembled. However, she quickly took a step forward and flew towards another mountain. She wanted to refine the Yin fire as well. For a moment, only Lin Xian was left in this place. Lin Xian stared at the ball of white lightning that was struggling in front of him. His eyes were shining. I already have the extremely masculine purple lightning. If I absorb this cold white lightning, I can achieve a combination of yin and yang. Maybe I can use it to condense the thunder martial soul. Thinking of this, Lin Xian was pleasantly surprised. The light in his eyes shone even brighter. Lin Xian now had the Great Dragon Sword Soul and the Ice Martial Soul. If he could add the Thunder Martial Soul, his strength would definitely increase greatly. By then, even a 7th level honorable would not be his match. In the next moment, lightning flashed all over his body. He used his great magic power and quickly absorbed the white lightning. The process was extremely slow, but Lin Xian had absolute patience. Time passed little by little. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Half of the white lightning had already been absorbed, but the surrounding environment had still changed greatly. There were traces of lightning strikes everywhere, and everywhere was charred black. Fortunately, he had the protection of the dark red divine dragon's array formation. Otherwise, he might have been discovered. Another 5 days passed, and the white lightning was finally completely absorbed. However, Lin Xian did not open his eyes. He formed a seal with his palms and began cultivating again. At this moment, the purple lightning and the white lightning were very distinct in his body. Although he had absorbed them, he was still unable to fuse them. What Lin Xian needed to do next was to fuse the 2 types of lightning. Once the fusion was complete, a thunder martial soul would be formed. This process was even slower, but Lin Xian had condensed his martial soul twice, so he was extremely experienced in this process. 10 days later, the sound of thunder erupted from Lin Xian's body as a humanoid lightning formed behind him. This humanoid lightning was made up of 2 colors, purple and white. He was like a thunder god with a violent aura. Then, Lin Xian opened his eyes. As he moved, the humanoid lightning behind him also took a step forward. Immediately, the surrounding thunder rumbled and countless lightning bolts quickly descended. It was like a heavenly tribulation, but they were all absorbed by the thunder martial soul. At this moment, Lin Xian's aura also changed. The surrounding spiritual qi was like a wave as it quickly surged into his body. His aura also rose abruptly as a majestic pressure surged out from his body. 6th heaven of the honorable realm. During this period, Lin Xian had been absorbing the energy in the water spirit pearl, so his cultivation had already reached the peak of the 5th heaven. He only needed an opportunity to break through. Now, with the formation of the Thunder Martial Soul, the opportunity had finally arrived, so he broke through to the 6th heaven of the honorable realm. Compared to before, his strength had increased by several times. Now, even if he encountered the 13th prince and Xiao Fan again, he could defeat them without using his martial soul. Now, he was completely confident in fighting against the mysterious honorable realm from the Palace of Gods of War. This time, not only did he break through, but he also condensed his 3rd martial soul. His chances of winning in the core area would be greatly increased. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. After all, the core area was filled with danger. At that time, the strongest martial artists from all the major forces would definitely gather. Moreover, there was an extremely terrifying heavenly netherbird. Therefore, the stronger he was, the safer he would be. At this moment, a figure suddenly flew over from afar. Lin Xian looked at the figure and smiled. It was Zhao Shui. You broke through. Zhao Shui looked at Lin Xian in surprise. Although the cultivation of the 6th heavenly layer was nothing to her, what shocked her was the speed of Lin Xian's breakthrough. She remembered that when she first met Lin Xian, he was only a 4th heaven honorable realm martial artist. However, in just 2 months, he had broken through to the 6th heaven honorable realm. This speed was absolutely terrifying. Perhaps no one in the entire history of cultivation could achieve such a terrifying cultivation speed. Of course, she knew that all of this was caused by the remote sky secret realm. There were simply too many treasures in there. Every one of them could greatly increase one's strength. However, Lin Xian's breakthrough speed still shocked her. However, Zhao Shui also knew that this kind of breakthrough speed could only happen to Lin Xian. No one else could replicate it. Slowly exhaling, Zhao Shui walked forward. However, in the next moment, she was shocked again. This is your martial soul? She stared at the purple and white humanoid lightning behind Lin Xian with a face full of shock. This was because she felt a terrifying and violent aura from the lightning. It even made her heart tremble. That's right. This is the lightning martial soul that I just condensed. Lin Xian smiled and said, "How is it? Its power is not bad, right?" Hearing this, Zhao Shui's mouth twitched slightly. She clearly remembered that Lin Xian had used the Ice Lotus martial soul before. Moreover, not long ago he had used a dragon-shaped sword shadow. Judging from the aura, it should be a martial soul too. Now, he had condensed the lightning martial soul. She had never heard of a single person possessing 3 different martial spirits. I originally thought that my talent was good enough. However, compared to you, I realized that I'm just an ordinary martial artist. Zhao Shui shook her head and sighed. I was just lucky. Lin Xian smiled and said, "By the way, how are you? How's the absorption of the white flame?" "I've finished absorbing it." Speaking of the white flame, Zhao Shui smiled. Then she stretched out her slender hand, and a ball of white flame quickly rose from her fingertip. The flame was very strange. It was burning, but it released a gloomy and cold aura. Not only that, I also used this flame with my eye technique to form a new unique skill, Zhao Shui said. Chapter 1175. After that, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui rested for a while before continuing on their journey. This time, they continued to track the heavenly netherbird. As they continued on their journey, the aura of the black flames in the air became more intense. This surprised the two of them because this meant that they were not far from the heavenly netherbird. Along the way, they encountered some demonic beasts which were easily dealt with. Not only that, they also encountered many martial artists. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's notoriety was already known. When the martial artists saw them from afar, they all ran away, not daring to face them. Seeing this, Lin Xian rubbed his nose helplessly. Those guys were even faster to avoid them than to avoid demonic beasts. This made him feel helpless. He did not know that the news of the two of them had already spread. Even the news of them going against the Shen family and Deity Sword Villa had spread. In addition to the previous incident, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had become extremely dangerous existences in the secret territory. Those below the 7th level honorable realm could not even think of going against them. Even a 7th level honorable realm cultivator would not have any advantage against Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. However, this was good as well. At least it would save them a lot of trouble. After walking for a while, Lin Xian suddenly frowned and increased his speed. Zhao Shui's face was also solemn as she quickly followed. There was a huge pit in front of them. It was like an abyss with no bottom. Around the abyss, there were countless charred corpses. At the edge of the abyss, there were remnants of black flames. Every time it beat, it carried an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Black flames. Seeing this, Lin Xian's eyes narrowed. Needless to say, the heavenly netherbird must have left behind such a powerful flame with such a color. It seemed that the heavenly netherbird had taken action. At the side, Zhao Shui's face was also solemn as her eyes shone with golden light. Then, she said slowly, "Other than the aura of the heavenly netherbird, I also sensed another powerful demonic aura. Thinking about it, there should have been an extremely terrifying demonic beast in there. It was precisely because of this that the heavenly netherbird had taken action." Lin Xian was also silent. This was because he had also sensed that demonic qi, which had definitely surpassed that of a 7th heaven venerable realm expert. Thinking about it, it should be an 8-star demon general or even stronger. However, it was completely extinguished by the heavenly netherbird's black flames. One could only imagine how terrifying the heavenly netherbird was. Lin Xian looked at the remaining black flames and grabbed at them. The black flame sensed the threat and immediately leaped towards Lin Xian, as if it wanted to burn Lin Xian's hand to ashes. However, countless purple and white lightning flashed in Lin Xian's palm, forming a defensive barrier that imprisoned the black flames. Then, Lin Xian retracted his palm and slowly opened it. A wisp of black flame danced quickly in front of Lin Xian. Previously, Lin Xian had only felt the scorching aura left behind by the black flames. This was the first time he had seen such black flames. In the next moment, a fiery red flame appeared in his palm. However, this flame dimmed significantly when it encountered the black flames. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The invisible power of his sword soul emerged and extinguished the black flames. Under the threat of Lin Xian's dragon sword soul, the black flames could no longer unleash any power. It could only be absorbed by Lin Xian's flames. Although it was only a wisp, Zhao Shui could still feel the terrifying energy in the black flames. She could even feel the aura of the flames in her body increasing. However, she felt that it was a pity that the remaining black flames were too little. If I could obtain a large amount of black flames, I might be able to condense a flame martial soul. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Only after absorbing the black flames did he know how terrifying they were. Furthermore, if he wanted to obtain more black flames, he would have to target the heavenly netherbird. It seemed that he could only think of a way when the time came. Lin Xian shook his head. Then he absorbed all the black flames around the deep pit, leaving not a single trace behind. When the black flames had completely disappeared, Lin Xian moved again. He flipped his palm and summoned the white jade spirit boat that he had obtained before. He and Zhao Shui stood on the spirit boat and quickly flew into the distance. The dark red dragon had also set up a spirit gathering array on the spirit boat. It could continuously absorb the surrounding spiritual qi as a source of energy. This way, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui did not need to inject spiritual qi into the white jade spirit boat. This was a good thing for the two of them. At least they did not need to consume spiritual qi. Furthermore, the spirit gathering array that the dark red dragon had set up was extraordinary. It allowed the white jade spirit boat to move even faster than before. As they sped along, Lin Xian felt that the temperature in the air was getting higher and higher. Furthermore, the spiritual qi around them was getting denser. No matter which one it was, it meant that they were getting closer and closer to the core area. Later on, they found that they had already entered the core area. According to normal circumstances, the core area should be even more terrifying and dangerous. However, they were here because of the heavenly netherbird. With the heavenly netherbird's terrifying strength, even if there was a demon king here, it would probably be able to kill them. Therefore, they did not encounter much danger along the way. However, there was one thing that caught their attention. That was, other than them, there were many other martial artists in the core area. It seemed that the secret of the heavenly netherbird and the core area had been leaked. Lin Xian sighed. There was no other way. The heavenly netherbird was too eye-catching. Furthermore, it did not hide at all. As long as one was observant, they would be able to discover this. Therefore, Lin Xian was not particularly surprised by the martial artists that had rushed over. However, it was fortunate that his cultivation had broken through again. Furthermore, he had condensed his third martial soul. This had greatly increased his strength. Therefore, even if there were more martial artists, Lin Xian was still very confident. Furthermore, he had Zhao Shui as a capable helper. In the core area, there was a group of people standing on top of a mountain peak. They were looking ahead. Feeling the majestic scenery in front of them, as well as the dense spiritual qi, these people revealed greedy expressions. However, when they felt the remnant black flames in the air, as well as the terrifying aura, their eyes were filled with deep fear. They knew that this was the aura left behind by the heavenly netherbird. Just this aura alone was enough to make them tremble in fear. One could only imagine how terrifying the real heavenly netherbird was. They were probably the real ants in front of the heavenly netherbird. Therefore, although the core area was good, these people were still hesitant. Chapter 1176. It turned out that this team was from the Divine Bird Palace. They had a huge advantage against ordinary warriors because they were the descendants of the three-headed crimson blood bird and had bloodline power in their bodies. However, they were suppressed by the bloodline power of the heavenly netherbird. Not to mention whether their ancestor, the three-headed crimson blood bird, could compete with the heavenly netherbird. After all, they were not their ancestor and the bloodline power in their bodies was very thin. Therefore, they had no power to fight against the heavenly netherbird. In fact, the suppression was much stronger than ordinary people. How about this? I won't make it difficult for you. If anyone doesn't want to go, you can wait here. After all, this is a special situation. An elder said in a deep voice. He was the 6th elder of the Divine Bird Palace, and his cultivation had reached the 7th level of Honored Realm. Hearing the 6th elder's words, everyone fell silent. They really needed to think about it. Although the front was the core area and there were many treasures, it was also much more dangerous than other places. Moreover, there was a terrifying heavenly netherbird in front of them. If they were not careful, they would definitely lose their lives. Therefore, all in all, the danger ahead was greater than the reward. For a moment, many people were hesitant. However, more people's eyes were burning with passion. As long as there was a chance, they would not give up. In the end, only half of the people chose to give up and wait. Most people chose to continue forward. Among these people, there were people of the older generation. They did not have much time left and wanted to go in and fight. There were also young geniuses. These people were young and full of confidence in themselves, so they also wanted to go in and search for treasures. In fact, it was not only the Divine Bird Palace. Other forces were doing the same thing. Because the inside was too dangerous, they did not want everyone to go in. On top of a mountain range, there was a powerful team. The leader of the group was a woman in a purple dress who was as beautiful as a fairy. They were from the Murong family, and the woman in purple was Murong Qingqing. At this moment, the silver-haired granny was persuading Murong Qingqing. Miss, you have the atavistic bloodline. Even if you don't go in, you will become a king in the future. Your future is limitless. There is no need to take risks for unknown treasures. The silver-haired granny's words caused the elders of the Murong family to continuously nod their heads. Indeed, these words were not wrong. Murong Qingqing's bloodline had reached an atavistic state, and her future was limitless. On top of that, she was the little princess of the Murong family. She enjoyed a lot of resources. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before she became a ruler. To be honest, they really didn't want Murong Qingqing to take the risk. After all, if it was a normal place, it would be fine. However, there was a terrifying heavenly netherbird in front of them. Who knew what would happen? However, Murong Qingqing obviously would not listen to their opinions. At this moment, determination was written all over her beautiful face. Her beautiful eyes were also looking forward, incomparably flickering. To become a peerless expert, other than having a powerful cultivation base, one must have a firm and fearless heart. If I shrink back from even this little bit of danger, then how can I climb to a higher level of martial arts in the future? Moreover, the path of cultivation is something that defies the heavens. How can there be no danger on this path? If I'm always protected by my family, then I'll forever be a flower in a greenhouse. I'll never be a true peerless expert. Moreover, he's also going there. I won't lose to that guy. The last sentence was said very softly. It was obvious that she was saying it to herself. Hearing this, the elders of the Murong family shook their heads and sighed. They knew that they could not change Murong Qingqing's decision. The only thing they could do was to protect Murong Qingqing as much as possible. Not only the Murong family, but the Palace of War, Deity Sword Villa, Immortal Martial Academy, and other forces were all rushing towards the core area. As for Yan Feng of the Palace of War, he had already led the people of the Palace of War to the entrance of the Pine Palace. The Pine Palace was incomparably majestic. It was like a heavenly emperor's city with an incomparably desolate aura. However, there was a huge hole in the city. That hole was obviously smashed open from the inside. There were still countless remnants of black flames around it. It was obvious that this hole was smashed open by the heavenly netherbird. That beast has already entered. Everyone be careful. But this is good too. We don't have to break through the restrictions. As long as we follow the heavenly netherbird, the threat inside will be reduced to the minimum. The people of the Palace of War were excited. Because of Yan Feng, they could be said to be the first to find the Pine Palace. But soon, the people of the Merry Woods also arrived. Of course, this was all thanks to the little fatty, Zhou Qingho. However, when they saw the people of the Palace of War, their faces darkened. That's the rumored Pine Palace in front of us. Everyone be careful, especially the people of the Palace of War. Elder Xiao Yao turned his head and said to the cultivators of the Merry Woods. Especially Yen Feng. He's known as a lunatic. He doesn't care about anything and his cultivation is extremely high. Even an ordinary 7th-level reverend wouldn't be his opponent. So, if you really meet him, don't fight him head-on. Elder Xiao Yao reminded them. They had no choice. Although they had people who could fight Yen Feng, he was indeed a lunatic. His actions were out of the ordinary. So, unless they had no other choice, they didn't want to fight him. After Elder Xiao Yao gave his instructions carefully, he sent people to carefully investigate the entrance of the cave. Although the heavenly netherbird had broken through the huge city, no one knew if there were other dangers inside. So, it was better to investigate first. After all, the master of the Pine Palace was someone who could even seal the heavenly netherbird. For a moment, everyone was moving in close proximity. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui also stepped into the core area, and the two of them were moving forward quickly. Suddenly, Lin Xian frowned. The lone star sword on his back began to tremble without warning, as if it was about to leave his body. This kind of thing had never happened before. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated and quickly stabilized the lone star sword. Who is it that can affect my lone star sword? But soon he was shocked. This was because a powerful sword energy came from afar. The aura was even stronger than his. A sword expert. No wonder he can affect my lone star sword. Lin Xian's expression changed drastically because he felt that the power of the sword Dao was too terrifying. Let's go and take a look. It was the terrifying sword from before. He could also use the terrifying sword Qi. However, it was definitely not like the old man in front of him who could use it casually. It could be said that the old man in the cloth robe was the only martial artist that Lin Xian had met who was better than him in sword principle. It seemed that the title of Sword Honorable was not just for show. After killing the 8-armed demon ape, the old man in the cloth robe was not surprised. He turned around and prepared to leave. However, just as he took a step, he suddenly turned around and looked at a cloud in the sky. His gaze was like a sharp sword that pierced through the void. However, he only took a glance and shook his head. He did not pay attention to it. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, who were hiding in the cloud, were shocked. Especially Zhao Shui, as if she was facing a great enemy. The blood in her body seemed to be frozen. What a terrifying old man. His gaze is even sharper than a divine sword. Zhao Shui was afraid. She did not expect that the old man in the cloth robe could easily see through their hiding place. Lin Xian's face was also dignified. The gaze just now also made his body tense. However, he had the great dragon sword soul in his body. Therefore, he was not like Zhao Shui, whose blood, qi, and spiritual power were frozen. However, that gaze still made him frightened. When he looked down again, the old man in the cloth robe had already left. It turned out to be the Sword Honorable of Deity Sword Villa. He did not expect the rumors to be true. The people of Divine Bird Palace looked at the old man's back with eyes full of fear. Not only Divine Bird Palace, but the martial artists of other forces along the way all looked at the old man's back nervously. There was no other way. The old man's reputation was too great. Moreover, he had made such a terrifying move before. They could not help but be afraid of such a person. Even the people of Murong family, Merry Woods, and Palace of War Gods saw the old man's back. For a time, the elders of the major forces all gave orders and warned their disciples to be careful. At the same time, they sped up their investigation of the cave entrance. On the other side, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui rode the white jade spirit boat out of the cloud and then rushed forward. Soon, they saw the huge city that was as big as heaven and earth. What? It's that boy surnamed Lin. Damn it, why is he here? Seeing the people in the white jade spirit boat, everyone became nervous. Especially the martial artists nearby, they looked at the sky nervously. It could not be helped. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were now famous, and it was not a good reputation. Because all the forces that fought with Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, no matter how big or small they were, all suffered losses. No one was able to gain an advantage over Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. This matter was too strange. Chapter 1178. At this moment, most of the Shun family's martial artists had already arrived near Pine Palace. This time, the 13th young master was confident. "Brat, no matter how strong you are, you won't be able to escape." The 13th young master sneered. He had no choice. What happened in the ancient tomb had made him sullen. If he did not vent his anger, it would affect his martial path. "You're that Lin Xian? You don't look like anything special," a handsome youth from the Shun family said with disdain. 11th brother, don't underestimate this brat. Although his cultivation isn't high, his combat strength is strangely strong. Don't be fooled by this brat. The 13th young master gritted his teeth and said, the last time, he had underestimated Lin Xian's cultivation and suffered a loss. However, this time, he would definitely not be fooled again. Elder Qin Yun's face was gloomy. He glared at Lin Xian with undisguised killing intent. However, he still tried to persuade the 13th young master. 13th young master, 11th young master, our top priority now is to enter Pine Palace. As for this brat, it won't be too late to kill him after we get the treasure. We can't be distracted by this brat. After all, this is a special time. Other than us, there are still forces like the Merry Forest. It wouldn't be long before the other families arrived. Hearing this, the 11th young master nodded. All right, we'll do as you say. But after I get the treasure, I'll teach this brat a lesson. Brat, I'll let you live a little longer. The 13th young master snorted coldly. Lin Xian did not care about the Shun family's threat. Before he had broken through, he was already able to escape from the Shun family's hands. Now, not only did he have a breakthrough in his cultivation, he had also condensed a lightning martial soul. His strength had greatly increased. Even if they had more people than before, if he really wanted to leave, these people would not be able to stop him. Therefore, Lin Xian stood on the white jade spiritual boat with his hands behind his back. His eyes swept across the huge city without fear. When he saw that there was a terrifying hole on the huge city wall, he revealed a shocked expression. Needless to say, this hole must have been created by the heavenly netherbird. Just as Lin Xian was surveying his surroundings, a cold snort sounded from afar. Clearly, someone was very dissatisfied with Lin Xian's actions. Lin Xian squinted his eyes and looked in the direction of the voice. Then he saw the people from the Palace of Ares. That cold snort came from Yan Feng of the Palace of War. Yan Feng's injuries had long since healed. However, whenever he thought of what had happened, he would go crazy. He wanted nothing more than to kill Lin Xian. It was all because of Lin Xian's interference that the news of Deep Pine Hall was exposed. Otherwise, with his strength, killing Mary Wood's little fatty would be as easy as flipping his hand. If he had succeeded, the news of Deep Pine Hall would not have spread so quickly. At that time, the Palace of War Gods would be able to enter the Deep Pine Palace before all the other factions knew about it and gain the upper hand. However, all of this was ruined by Lin Xian. Therefore, when Yan Feng saw Lin Xian again, he wanted nothing more than to kill him immediately. However, Lin Xian ignored Yan Feng's killing intent. Previously, he could not defeat Yan Feng. However, now that his cultivation had broken through and his strength had increased, he was no longer afraid of Yan Feng. If Yan Feng really wanted to fight with him, he did not mind letting him know what it meant to be strong. Don't worry, we will kill this kid sooner or later. Right now, Deep Pine Hall is our priority. The mysterious honorable martial artist stopped Yan Feng in the Palace of War Gods. Yan Feng nodded and did not act rashly. However, he looked at Lin Xian and revealed a cold smile. However, Murong Qingcheng frowned when she heard Jiao Gongzi's words. When she saw Jiao Gongzi walking forward, she finally could not hold it in anymore. I told you to stop. What's the relationship between us? Do I need you to stand up for me? Moreover, do you know what's the relationship between him and me? Who told you that I have a grudge against him? Jiao Gongzi was stunned by the series of questions. Actually, he was not the only one. Everyone in the surroundings was stunned. They could not understand how things had turned out like this. What's the relationship between the two of them? Someone did not understand. You don't know? Both of them are disciples of the immortal martial academy. Someone said. It's not that simple. Look at Murong Qingqing's gaze. It's definitely not as simple as being from the same sect. Someone else said. In short, everyone was discussing fervently. Jiao Gongzi's face darkened when he heard these words. He looked at Murong Qingqing again and realized that there was a different kind of emotion in her eyes. Could it be? Jiao Gongzi's heart sank as a bad premonition rose from the bottom of his heart. His face immediately turned pale. Murong Qingqing's gaze lingered on Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. No one knew what she was thinking. Sensing Murong Qingqing's gaze, Zhao Shui remained expressionless. Lin Xian rubbed his nose helplessly. Just as he was about to explain, Murong Qingqing snorted softly. I'll settle this with you when we get out. She rolled her eyes at Lin Xian fiercely, then led the Murong clan members to the vicinity of the huge city. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. They had never seen Murong Qingqing act like a little girl. Perhaps only people who were very close to each other could act like this. It seemed that the relationship between the two of them was indeed not ordinary. Everyone had different expressions, but Jiao Gongzi's face was terrifyingly gloomy. He had known Murong Qingqing for many years, but he had never seen Murong Qingqing act so intimately with anyone. Now, however, Murong Qingqing was behaving like this in front of so many people. And that person was not him. He could not tolerate this. Brat, how dare you steal my woman? You must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts. I'm going to pull out your tendons and pull out your bones. I'm going to break your bones piece by piece. Jiao Gongzi's face was ferocious as killing intent filled his eyes. He's going crazy. It would be fine if Murong Qingqing was stronger than him. However, Murong Qingqing was clearly a piece of trash who was inferior to him in every way. Murong Qingqing was inferior to him in terms of cultivation, status, and talent. How could such a piece of trash win Murong Qingqing's favor? Jiao Gongzi could not understand. In his opinion, Murong Qingqing must have used some despicable means to bewitch Murong Qingqing. Brat, I want you dead. It was a huge demonic beast with black feathers all over its body. There were black flames burning on its body and it emitted a violent aura. The heavenly netherbird. The huge figure was the heavenly netherbird. At this moment, it was waving its huge claws and attacking the Pine Palace. However, there was a huge defensive array around the Pine Palace that resisted the heavenly netherbird's attack. Everyone was stunned. Even with the heavenly netherbird's terrifying attack, it still could not break through the defensive array. One could only imagine how terrifying the defensive array was. One had to know that the heavenly netherbird was an extremely terrifying existence. Even an 8-star demonic beast general could not withstand a single attack from it. Chapter 1181. This was simply too shocking. That's the Big Dipper formation. It's extremely powerful. Even among the ancient formations, it's one of the strongest. The dark red dragon looked ahead with a serious expression. Even a king couldn't break this formation. I didn't expect it to appear here. What? Even a king couldn't break it? Hearing this, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were shocked. They didn't expect the formation to be so terrifying. No wonder the heavenly netherbird couldn't break it even after attacking for so long. However, the formation seemed to have angered the heavenly netherbird. It raised its head and let out a cry that tore through the 9 heavens. Black flames rolled around its body and formed a powerful black flame attack that blasted forward. This attack was too terrifying. Merely the aftershock from it was probably not something that an Exalt Realm expert could resist. Then, under everyone's horrified gazes, the black flame slammed into the light barrier. Suddenly, the entire light barrier trembled violently as if it was about to crack. However, what shocked everyone was that the light barrier didn't crack. Instead, it shone even brighter, forming 7 star-like light spots that quickly connected together. Finally, the 7 stars emitted 7 dazzling rays of light that blasted towards the heavenly netherbird. The light was too terrifying. It wasn't any weaker than a king's attack. The entire void was pierced through, and the ground rolled like waves. The 7 light pillars slammed into the heavenly netherbird's body. The sound of the collision was like thunder. Everyone quickly sealed their hearing and retreated with pale faces. It was too terrifying. Just the sound alone was enough to make them tremble. If they hadn't sealed their hearing, they wouldn't have been able to withstand it. The heavenly netherbird roared crazily as it was hit by the attack. Its huge body kept shaking. The black flames on its body continued to burn as if they were the flames of hell, resisting the 7 terrifying light pillars. This attack was too terrifying. It could even penetrate a king, but it was blocked by the heavenly netherbird. Everyone was hiding in the distance. When they saw this scene, they were shocked. It blocked it? As expected of a peerless beast on the heaven leaderboard. It's really powerful. Lin Xian was also shocked. This heavenly netherbird was too terrifying. All of them combined couldn't even withstand a single blow from it. However, even though it wasn't pierced by the light beam, the heavenly netherbird seemed to have been injured. Thus, it attacked the defensive formation even more ferociously. This kind of demonic beast is an invincible existence under the king level. No one can withstand a single attack from it. An elder of Merry Woods said with a serious expression. What's even more terrifying is that the defensive formation can withstand so many attacks from the heavenly netherbird. The elder of the Murong family laughed bitterly. If you want us to break it, I'm afraid we won't be able to do it. However, the people from the Palace of Gods of War were extremely excited. It looks like we wouldn't have been able to break the array, but with the heavenly netherbird leading the charge, it's great. That's right. When the formation is broken, we can sneak in quietly. We won't have to worry about not being able to get any treasures. The disciples of the Palace of Gods of War were excited. In fact, all of them had benefited from the heavenly netherbird. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to find the core area so easily. Moreover, they wouldn't have been able to pass through the huge city so easily. Thus, from the current situation, it seemed that these people had benefited from following the heavenly netherbird. With their previous experience, they were looking forward to the heavenly netherbird's next move. Chapter 1182. It wasn't wrong at all. It was extremely difficult to break the Big Dipper array. After all, the heavenly netherbird was such a terrifying existence, yet it couldn't break through even after attacking for so long. One could only imagine how terrifying the Big Dipper array was. Although the Crimson God Dragon was very powerful in formations, it couldn't break through the Big Dipper array in such a short amount of time. However, the heavenly netherbird's attacks had already caused flaws to appear in the array. As long as they took advantage of these flaws, they would be able to send people in. This might be impossible for other formation masters, but the Crimson God Dragon could do it. Then hurry up, Lin Xian urged. He had a bad premonition, but he wasn't sure what it was. The Crimson God Dragon nodded and waved its claws, touching the Big Dipper array. Suddenly, the Big Dipper array rippled and released a 5-colored light. The Crimson God Dragon quickly studied it. However, as time passed, Lin Xian's brows furrowed even tighter. Not only him, but Zhao Shui also furrowed her brows. You noticed it too? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. Ever since we arrived, the frequency of the cracks appearing has been very small. Until now, it hasn't appeared for a long time. Zhao Shui furrowed her brows as she spoke. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui weren't the only ones. Gradually, the martial artists from the other forces began to realize what was happening. Soon, everyone began to panic. If there weren't any cracks, they wouldn't be able to enter. Therefore, they were very anxious. The sound of the attacks has decreased. The Merry Forest's elder furrowed his brows. Yeah, the chaotic spiritual energy in the sky has also disappeared. The Murong clan's people also had a serious expression. The people from the Palace of Gods of War seemed to have thought of something and quickly looked forward. Then, their expressions greatly changed. Heavens, the heavenly netherbird disappeared. What disappeared? Everyone was stunned. How could the heavenly netherbird disappear? Did it already enter? The heavenly netherbird's disappearance caused everyone to panic. They couldn't understand how such a huge monster could disappear. Could he have entered a formation? Someone guessed. Hearing this, many people despaired. If the heavenly serene bird really entered the array, then they would have no chance. However, some other people quickly shook their heads, especially those great array masters. If the heavenly netherbird had entered the formation, it would have definitely affected it, but we didn't notice it at all. Hearing the words of these array masters, the surrounding martial artists relaxed. This was because these array masters were the elites of their families. They were very accomplished in the field of array formations. It could be said that their words were the truth. Therefore, when everyone heard the words of these array masters, they all relaxed. Luckily, as long as the heavenly netherbird didn't enter, everything would be easy. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. But where did it go? Everyone was puzzled. However, at this moment, a shadow cast down and enveloped everyone. Then a cold voice sounded, "Foolish humans, what are you looking for?" Hearing this voice, everyone's expression changed, and then they subconsciously raised their heads. In the end, they saw a scene that made them despair. Above their heads, there was an enormous head. It was incomparably malevolent, and its ice-cold eyes were staring at them. The heavenly netherbird. Many people's faces were pale and filled with fear. They didn't expect the heavenly netherbird to come to their side without them noticing. Even Lin Xian was shocked. This was because before this, he didn't sense the aura of the other party at all. Chapter 1183. He was from the Divine Dragon clan, and his entire body was filled with treasures. However, he didn't have enough strength to fight against the heavenly netherbird. Therefore, he was more anxious than anyone else. Luckily, the heavenly netherbird was only staring at those people and didn't notice him. On the other hand, the other cultivators were driven crazy by the heavenly netherbird. Its aura was too terrifying, and it could take their lives at any moment. In the end, a few cultivators couldn't withstand the pressure and went crazy in despair. With a roar, a few of them went crazy. They released their spiritual energy and ran away. They couldn't take it anymore. The aura was too terrifying. Instead of struggling in despair, they might as well use all their strength to run away. Perhaps they would have a chance of survival. That was the thought of the few people who were running away. However, just as they ran away, they were burned to ashes by a black flame. In the end, nothing was left. No! The other cultivators roared crazily. They could only watch as their companions were killed, but they couldn't do anything. This feeling was too despairing. Lowly insects. The heavenly netherbird killed a few humans with a wave of its hand, but it didn't care at all. Its cold eyes scanned the crowd below. Everyone who was swept by its gaze trembled and quickly lowered their heads. Lin Xian's face was also gloomy. The current situation was too dangerous. No one knew when the heavenly netherbird would attack. Who would it attack? To everyone, this was an extremely torturous process. However, at this moment, the dark red divine dragon sent over a piece of good news. "I'm ready. We can go in." Hearing this, Lin Xian's heart trembled. However, he suppressed the joy in his heart and didn't show it on his face. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he missed it, he wouldn't have another chance. Now that Zhao Shui and Ruffian Dragon were by his side, they could go in with him. However, Murong Qingqing was a bit far from him. He wanted to send a message to take Murong Qingqing with him. However, before he could send a message, the heavenly netherbird suddenly turned its head and coldly stared at him. Lin Xian's hair stood on end after being stared at by the heavenly netherbird. A huge pressure enveloped him, as if it was going to crush him. Not good, let's go. The dark red godly dragon also felt his scalp tingle. He didn't expect the heavenly netherbird to be so sharp that it could discover their intentions in an instant. In the next moment, he no longer hesitated and quickly moved the formation. Immediately, 3 rays of light enveloped Lin Xian and the others. "You 3 ants want to escape from me? How laughable!" The heavenly serene bird showed a look of disdain. Then, it raised its huge claws and clawed forward. Suddenly, the empty palace cracked like a mirror, and countless black cracks appeared. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian and the other 2. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Murong Qingqing's expression also changed. She didn't expect the heavenly netherbird to attack Lin Xian. In the next moment, she raised her jade-like hand and was about to strike with the true Phoenix Imperial Jade Seal. However, he was held down by the silver-haired granny. "Miss, it's useless. Even if you do something, you won't be able to save them." The silver-haired granny quickly stopped her. Indeed, the heavenly netherbird was too terrifying. Even if a king came, he might not be able to subdue it, let alone people like them. Even if Murong Qingqing did something, she wouldn't be able to do any harm. Instead, she might expose herself and draw the heavenly netherbird's anger to the Murong family. On the other side, the people from the Palace of Gods of War and the Palace of Divine Birds were ecstatic. This was because they had suffered a lot at the hands of Lin Xian. Everyone hated Lin Xian very much, but they couldn't catch him. Now, the heavenly netherbird had killed Lin Xian. This was great news for them. No matter how strange this kid was, he wouldn't have any chance of escaping from the heavenly netherbird. The 9th young master of the Shun family also sneered, "Kid, you dare to steal my woman. Now you know what retribution is. Go to hell." Everyone thought that Lin Xian was dead for sure. There was no way he could survive. However, under the giant claw, 3 rays of light quickly merged into the Big Dipper formation. Then, with a swoosh, the 3 of them disappeared. What? This is impossible. They disappeared? How is this possible? Everyone's eyes widened as if they had seen a ghost. This was because they realized that Lin Xian and the other 2 had disappeared under the heavenly netherbird's giant claw. They weren't burned to ashes by the black flames. Instead, they merged into the formation. That kid entered the formation. How is this possible? Everyone's mind went blank. They couldn't believe that Lin Xian could enter the formation. One had to know that even the terrifying heavenly netherbird couldn't do anything against the Big Dipper formation. How could a kid at the 6th sky of martial honor enter it in an instant? The heavenly netherbird was also stunned. Then it became angry. It didn't think that 3 little insects could escape from its hands. What made it even angrier was that they seemed to have entered the Big Dipper formation. That damned formation. Even it couldn't break it. However, 3 ants could enter it. It couldn't believe it. The heavenly netherbird snorted and its giant claw viciously clawed forward. Bang! The giant black claw was covered in black flames. It quickly bombarded the light screen, causing an earth-shattering roar. Endless waves of spiritual energy rushed forward like a tsunami. The void trembled and the formation roared. Although the heavenly netherbird was furious, it still couldn't break the formation. Not only that, but the surrounding space had also been sliced into countless cracks, making it impossible for anyone to hide. This also meant that the disappearance of Lin Xian's team of 3 was not due to some invisibility technique. Instead, they had truly disappeared. Damn it, how is this possible? This time, it was the heavenly netherbird's turn to lose its calm. Its body was covered in black flames. It was as if it was angry and wanted to burn the entire space. In the next moment, it suddenly turned around and stared at the remaining cultivators. Its cold voice sounded again. "Damned insects! How dare you play tricks in front of me? I think you don't want to live anymore." Then, it snorted and waved its giant claw. Bang! Bang! The void cracked and 3 terrifying black claw shadows quickly fell from the sky. Suddenly, dozens of cultivators were smashed into meat paste. Suddenly, the 5-colored light on her body was suppressed and finally disappeared into the air. A black lotus mark also appeared on the back of her fair neck. I didn't expect to meet a descendant of the 3-headed crimson bloodbird and a warrior with the phoenix bloodline. It seems that you people are stronger than I thought. I think you can do the 2 things I asked you to do. Are we really going to help the heavenly netherbird complete his mission? But what can we do if we don't complete the mission? Our time is limited, and the heavenly netherbird has set up a seal. If we don't do as he says, once the time is up, the black flames in our bodies will burn. At that time, we won't be able to escape. Many warriors shook their heads and sighed. Maybe we can find the key to the star chains and then negotiate with the heavenly netherbird. A warrior said in a deep voice. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up and they nodded because this was indeed a good idea. However, just as they smiled, the warrior who suggested this idea suddenly burst into flames. The black flames instantly covered the warrior. In the blink of an eye, the warrior was burned clean and no longer existed. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. It was as if they were shrouded by a huge fear and their bodies couldn't stop trembling. "It's burning. The black flames in our bodies are burning," someone said in a trembling voice. "This is impossible. We just came in and did nothing. Also, the time limit is still very long. How could it burn for no reason?" Everyone was terrified and couldn't understand. However, they didn't know that outside the defensive array, the heavenly netherbird was staring at them with cold eyes. A group of ants trying to control me. How ridiculous. It turned out that the heavenly netherbird was monitoring their every move and could even hear their conversation clearly. However, the people inside the array were completely unaware of this. At this time, the dark red divine dragon opened his mouth. "Stop talking. The heavenly netherbird can hear your words." That guy just spoke rudely and naturally angered the heavenly netherbird. That's why he ended up like this. "What? He can hear our conversation?" After hearing the dark red divine dragon's words, everyone was shocked. However, they soon understood. This was because there was a black lotus mark on each of their bodies. This thing was extremely strange. Perhaps the heavenly netherbird could hear their conversation through this mark. "Why don't we use our divine sense to communicate?" someone suggested. "Don't waste your energy. Nothing you do can escape the heavenly netherbird surveillance. So, I advise you to stay here obediently," the dark red divine dragon said coldly. Because he was once in existence above the king realm, he knows the methods of those people very well. The methods of those peerless figures were definitely not something that these sovereigns could understand. Hearing this, everyone's faces turned ugly. It was as if they were being watched and couldn't do anything to threaten the heavenly netherbird. In other words, their lives were firmly in the hands of the heavenly netherbird. From the conversation, Lin Xian also knew the goals of these people. First, they wanted to find the array room that could control the array. Second, they wanted to find the key to the heavenly netherbird's astral chains. After hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes flashed. Previously, he and Zhao Shui had entered early, so they weren't very clear about what was happening outside. It looked at the small purple tree in front of it and squinted its eyes. "Good stuff. This is a purple spirit grape." The dark red divine dragon was also drooling. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were much more careful because they knew that there would definitely be danger in the vicinity of these natural treasures. It would either be a powerful restriction array or a powerful demonic beast. Therefore, the two of them did not make a move and quickly looked around. "You two don't look. Hurry up and pick them." The dark red divine dragon roared and quickly ran forward. The dragon waved its claws and covered the purple grapes. However, in the next moment, it grabbed nothing. Wu-ji the snow-white monkey's body flashed and picked all the purple grapes. Then it quickly ate them. Damn monkey. You're so fast. Give me some." The dark red divine dragon began to fight with the snow-white monkey. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were surprised because they realized that there was no danger in the process of little white picking the grapes. Could it be that we're overthinking things? Lin Xian asked suspiciously. Maybe. Zhao Shui's mouth twitched slightly. The snow-white monkey did not care about that. It waved its furry claws and quickly distributed some purple spirit grapes to Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. "It seems that we really thought too much. Try it," Lin Xian said with a smile. Then, he put a purple spirit fruit into his mouth. As soon as the spirit fruit entered his mouth, it turned into pure spirit energy and quickly flowed through his body. What pure spiritual power! As expected of the treasures of Pine Palace. It's extraordinary. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. That fingernail-sized purple spirit grape was equivalent to 2 to 3 months of hard work. Needless to say, it was definitely good stuff. At the side, Zhao Shui ate one and smiled. Then she used her void sky eyes and quickly scanned the surroundings. In the next moment, she was shocked. There were flame fruits, Qilin grass, half-moon fruits, one after another, strange spiritual fruits appeared in his field of vision. Moreover, there were no powerful array formations or restrictions near those spiritual fruits, nor were there any powerful demonic beasts guarding them. You too don't have to be too surprised. Although these spirit fruits are very precious in the outside world, they are probably just ordinary fruit trees in Pine Palace. The dark red divine dragon explained as it flew forward. The snow-white monkey was even faster. It turned into a bolt of white lightning and shuttled through the orchard. As expected of an ancient powerhouse. Such good spirit fruits are just ordinary fruit trees here. Lin Xian took a deep breath and flew forward with Zhao Shui. Since there were no spirit arrays or restrictions, they did not hold back and quickly picked the spirit fruits. Just as Lin Xian and Zhao Shui entered the orchard, the other cultivators behind them arrived. Chapter 1187. Everyone, let's work together. The group carefully scouted the surroundings and slowly approached the orchard. At this moment, a rustling sound came from the orchard. It sounded like something was crawling. There's movement. Many people focused their attention and stared straight ahead. The young warriors were also nervous. Fortunately, they had the guidance of the elders. Otherwise, they might have become monsters' lunch if they had rashly gone forward. Those martial artists also had lingering fear on their faces, and they were very grateful to the elders who stopped them. However, the next moment, the young warriors were all stunned. Their eyes widened as if they could not believe what they saw. This was because what was walking towards Guolinli was not a powerful demonic beast, but a long dark red snake. Hey, isn't that Lin Xian's pet? Why is it here? Yeah, there should be a powerful restriction array here. Why is it fine? Did they break it? The group of people was extremely puzzled. Even those of the older generation were stunned. Damn you, you're the snake. Your whole family are snakes. The dark red dragon was so angry that it stomped its feet and took a bite of the Kirin fruit in its hand. What is it eating? Is it a supreme grade spiritual fruit? The crowd ignored the dark red dragon's curses and stared at the spiritual fruit in its hand. That's right. Judging from its appearance and aura, it's definitely a supreme grade spiritual fruit. The group was excited and wanted to pounce on it immediately. However, they had just been lectured by the elders and did not dare to move forward rashly. There must be a powerful restriction array in a place with such a supreme grade spiritual fruit. Damn it, how did they get in? Could it be that they broke the array? Previously, this kid could enter the Big Dipper array. The group looked ahead suspiciously. The dark red dragon was also stunned when it heard the crowd's conversation. Then, it burst into laughter. These people also thought that there must be a terrifying restriction array in the vicinity of the orchard. It seemed that these guys still did not understand what kind of existence Pine Palace was. However, it would not let these people in so easily. It immediately said loudly, "Of course there is a restriction array. It's a very powerful killing array. However, Your Majesty is a Grandmaster Array Master. Of course, I can open up a bloody path. As for you all, you won't be able to. If you don't believe me, you can try. I can guarantee that no one below king level will be able to walk in alive." What? So powerful? Everyone's expression changed when they heard this. Even though they didn't really believe it, the other party was an existence that could enter the Big Dipper formation without anyone noticing. If they were to really compete in terms of array formations, it was likely that none of them would be a match for the other party. Therefore, for a moment, these people were shocked. When the Crimson Divine Dragon saw that his words had frightened countless warriors, he was laughing in his heart. However, on the surface, he pretended to be very calm. But you don't have to worry. If you acknowledge me as your king and become my human pet, I can consider helping you enter. What? You want us to be your lackeys? Why don't you just die? Damn snake, how dare you boast so shamelessly? I'll kill you when I come out. A group of people roared in anger. Who are these people? Most of them were experts from top-notch factions. Moreover, quite a few of them were disciples of king clans. Their identities could be said to be extremely honorable. Yet now, a snake actually wanted to take them in as servants. How could they accept this? However, the Crimson Divine Dragon waved his dragon claws in disdain when he heard this. A bunch of ignorant fools. Chapter 1188. The young warrior got up from the ground and quickly walked a few steps in the forest. Finally, he laughed wildly. I'm fine. I'm not dead. After laughing wildly, he no longer paid attention to those people. Instead, he frantically picked the spirit fruits on the tree. He's fine. When the other young warriors saw this, they were overjoyed. Without caring about anything else, they quickly rushed up. Sure enough, until they entered the orchard and ate the supreme-grade spirit fruits, they did not find any trace of danger. Seeing this, the elders and array masters were so angry that they vomited blood and trembled all over. Shameful, too shameful. They even wanted to die. After studying for a long time, they found that this place did not even have a defensive array. It was ridiculous that they acted like seniors and showed off in front of so many disciples. Now that they thought about it, they were really ignorant. Impossible, how is this possible? These are supreme-grade spirit fruits. How can there be no defense? The elders and array masters were about to go crazy. This was completely different from what they had imagined. How could they know that the supreme-grade spirit fruits in their eyes were just ordinary fruits in Pine Palace? There was no need for a defensive array. The elders were about to go crazy. They did not expect that they would be fooled by a snake. Thinking of this, their faces turned red and they wanted to find a hole to hide in. Damn reptile, don't let me see you again. Otherwise, I'll cook you and eat you. Yes, and that Lin Xian. How dare he pick so many spirit fruits in front of us? He really deserves to die. The elders and array masters gritted their teeth. However, they could not care less about Lin Xian now. Instead, they ran to the orchard in front of them like the wind. Damn little bastard, leave some for this old man. These people ran into the orchard and frantically snatched the spirit fruits. There were still a few spirit fruits in the orchard, but most of them were picked by Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. They did not care about the rest. However, at this moment, these were rare treasures in the eyes of these people. Lin Xian didn't know that the spirit fruits he left behind would cause such a crazy scramble. At this moment, he and Zhao Shui were heading back towards the Pine Hall. Along the way, he discovered that the spirit fruits that he had seen in the outside world were all over the place. Moreover, this was only the periphery of the Dark Pine Hall. One could imagine how many good things were inside the real Dark Pine Hall. Therefore, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui quickly ran. They directly gave up on ordinary treasures because there were better ones ahead. Of course, if they found any special treasures along the way, they would also take them. In short, the harvest on this trip was far greater than the sum of all the treasures before. Suddenly, an abnormally strong fragrance came from the front. This immediately attracted the attention of Lin Xian and the others. Especially the little white monkey, it was so anxious that it was scratching its ears and cheeks. The dark red dragon was even drooling. It smells so good. This is the real good stuff. Lin Xian was also pleasantly surprised because just from this fragrance, he could imagine the spiritual energy contained in it. It was far superior to the spirit fruits outside. Zhao Shui was also very surprised and there was a trace of excitement in her beautiful eyes. The two of them looked at each other, then quickly moved and ran forward. Not long after, a tall tree appeared in front of them. It was an ancient tree with old branches that looked like a dragon lying down. It seemed to be at least a few thousand years old. What was even more shocking were the leaves and fruits on the tree. Its leaves were silver and shone with silver light as if they were made of silver. Its fruits were fiery red as if they were burning. The rich fragrance from before was emitted by this ancient tree. This is the silver leaf fire phoenix tree. The dark red dragon looked forward with a serious expression. The silver leaf fire phoenix tree. Hearing this, Lin Xian's pupils constricted and he stared straight ahead. He had received King Pilplum's inheritance and Wine Lord's teachings, so he was very familiar with all the spirit herbs in this world. Therefore, he also knew the legend of the silver leaf fire phoenix. This was an extremely precious ancient tree that was rarely seen even in ancient times. If the silver leaves were picked to make tea, it could increase a warrior's soul power. It was very difficult to increase a warrior's soul power, and there were not many spirit herbs that could increase soul power. This silver leaf fire phoenix fruit was one of them. The red fruit was called the phoenix fruit. It could temper a warrior's body and increase their spirit chi. It could be said to be a very pure source of energy. If the two were used together, it could also increase a warrior's martial soul. Perhaps other spirit fruits could increase soul power and spirit chi, but there were very few things in the world that could increase a martial soul. This silver leaf fire phoenix fruit could do that. Therefore, in ancient times, this was a treasure that countless warriors went crazy for. Hearing Lin Xian's introduction, Zhao Shui was also surprised. She did not expect to see such a precious thing here. However, at this moment, a surprised voice came from behind them. It's the silver leaf fire phoenix tree. Great, we're rich. We're rich. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian's face darkened. He did not expect someone to recognize this ancient tree. Without needing to turn around, several figures had already landed nearby. The person in the lead was the middle-aged man from the palace of Ares, Duan Tianlang. The warriors behind him were also experts from the palace of Ares. These people all looked ahead, their hearts burning with excitement. There are hundreds of silver leaves and dozens of fire phoenix fruits. We're really rich this time. Duan Tianlang looked ahead, very excited. The ancient tree was very old and was not as lush as other ordinary trees. There were only a few hundred silver leaves floating in the wind. In the middle of the silver leaves were dozens of fiery red fruits. It sounded very little, but there were many of them. One should know that one could not even find one in the outside world. Duan Tianlang licked his lips, then turned around and stared at Lin Xian. Kid, get lost. This place has been reserved by the palace of Ares. He naturally did not want to share such good things with others, so his first reaction was to chase Lin Xian and Zhao Shui out. Go to hell. We found this place, so it should be ours. We should be the ones reserving this place. You people from the palace of Ares, get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. The dark red divine dragon was so angry that he stomped his feet. The silver leaf fire phoenix tree was useful to him, so he would not give it away. Kid, I advise you not to make a mistake. You can't beat us at all. Also, my senior brother and Yan Feng are nearby. When they arrive, you won't be able to leave even if you want to. Duan Tianlang's expression was fierce as he threatened Lin Xian. Brother Duan, don't worry. I'll help you. Chapter 1189. Brother Duan, don't worry. I'll help you. At this moment, another loud laugh was heard. Immediately after, the people from the Divine Bird Palace quickly flew over from afar. They greeted Duan Tianlang and then stared at the ancient tree in front of them with fiery eyes. Brother Duan, how about you and I join forces to drive this thief away first? The elder of the Divine Bird Palace said in a deep voice. Of course, I've wanted to do that for a long time. Duan Tianlang nodded. The Divine Bird Palace was an ally of the Palace of Ares, so they could share resources. Moreover, the Palace of Ares was not as strong as the Palace of Ares. When the time came to divide the treasures, the Palace of Ares would take the lion's share. Therefore, Duan Tianlang did not refuse the elder of the Divine Bird Palace's decision. The most important thing now was to drive Lin Xian and Zhao Shui out, because the two of them were simply too strange. Previously, in the cave mansion, several sovereign families fought over it, but in the end, they were taken advantage of by these two thieves. This matter made him feel bitter. Therefore, now he had to drive Lin Xian away. Subsequently, the warriors of the Palace of Ares and Divine Bird Palace all stared at Lin Xian with evil intentions. Seeing this, the dark red dragon was furious. He glared back fiercely. As long as the other party dared to attack, he would set up a killing array and fight them to the death. Zhao Shui's expression was also cold, ready to attack at any time. However, Lin Xian looked very calm. I'm standing right here. If you want to attack, come at me. You're courting death. An elder of the Divine Bird Palace roared, then stretched out his palm and quickly grabbed at Lin Xian. That palm was like a lid, covering the sky and the sun, and quickly fell forward. Accompanying it was a terrifying pressure. The violent palm energy was like the roar of 10,000 beasts, causing the whole world to tremble. This palm was very fierce. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace did not hold back. However, Lin Xian remained unmoved. Only when the frightening palm approached did he raise his arm and point a finger. Terrifying sword chi flew out from his fingertips, like thousands of soldiers and horses, with a strong killing intent, quickly soared into the sky. The moment the terrifying sword chi appeared, all the surrounding martial artists felt an indescribable pressure. In the next moment, everyone saw the huge palm being split apart by the terrifying sword chi. Then, Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back, while the elders of the Divine Bird Palace retreated, their faces full of shock. Damn it, how is this possible? This brat's strength has increased again. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace was terrified. This was because Lin Xian had previously been able to contend against a 7th-level venerable, but he had definitely not been as calm as he was now. Being able to break through the attacks of 7 venerable ones with a casual attack was simply too shocking. 6th heavenly layer venerable, no wonder. Seems like this kid's cultivation base has improved. The elder of Divine Bird Palace gritted his teeth and said. However, on the other side, Duan Tianlang's face was gloomy. This was exactly what he was worried about. Chen Shi had merely advanced by a single realm, yet his cultivation and combat strength had undergone a tremendous change, and this caused him to be unable to help but feel terrified. If you still want to attack, then use your full strength. Don't hold back anymore. Duan Tianlang reminded him. Don't worry, I know what to do. The elder of Divine Bird Palace nodded heavily. Then, a terrifying aura rose from his body. Terrifying spiritual energy surged like a tsunami, making a roaring sound. In the next moment, countless thunder and lightning surged out and condensed into a divine bird of thunder in front of him. Chapter 1190. Duan Tianlang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Lin Xian and the other man did not stop them. Then he regained his confidence again. Although the other party was powerful, there were only 2 of them. On the other hand, there were 2 top forces on their side. If they really fought, he could guarantee that the other party would not have any advantage. Therefore, in his opinion, the reason why Lin Xian did not stop them was because they were powerful. He did not even think about the ancient tree. You guys go up and pick all the silver leaves and spirit fruits. Duan Tianlang and the elders of Divine Bird Palace ordered. Immediately, the young warriors walked out quickly with ecstasy on their faces. So what if Lin Xian was powerful? He could only watch them snatch the spirit fruits. They knew a thing or two about the effects of the spirit fruits. Moreover, there were many of them. If they performed well, they might be able to get some. Thinking of this, the young warriors became even more excited. One by one, they sped up and strode forward. There were even 2 young cultivators at the 6th level of the Honorable Realm who moved quickly, wanting to grab the spirit fruit before everyone else. However, just as the 2 warriors approached, the ancient tree in front of them suddenly shook. The branches seemed to have become the sharpest divine spear and instantly pierced through the 2 warriors. The attack was so sudden that the 2 warriors did not even have time to react before they were pierced by the branches. Just as they were about to struggle and resist, a strange power suddenly came from the branches and sucked their flesh and blood essence dry. Plop, plop. 2 sounds were heard. Then, 2 dried corpses that had been sucked dry fell to the ground. This scene shocked everyone. Those warriors who wanted to pick the fruits all stopped in their tracks. Not only that, but everyone had a horrified expression on their faces as if they had seen a ghost. It could not be helped. This was too terrifying. The ancient tree that they thought was within their reach had launched a fierce attack. In an instant, it had pierced through the 2 6th heaven venerables. A one-hit kill, clean and tidy. Behind them, Lin Xian sneered. Just as he had guessed, the spirit fruits were not so easy to pick. But Duan Tianlang and the elder of Divine Bird Palace narrowed their eyes and their faces changed. The reason why they let their disciples do it was because it was inconvenient for them to do such a thing with their status. But they didn't expect such a thing to happen. Soon, Duan Tianlang recovered from his shock and quickly shouted, "Come back!" In fact, there was no need for him to shout, as those young martial artists had already retreated. They simply did not dare to go up again. When all the warriors retreated to their sides, Duan Tianlang and the elders of Divine Bird Palace quietly breathed a sigh of relief. But very soon, their expressions became very ugly. Judging from the ancient tree's attack, even a 7th-level venerate might not be able to safely pluck it. It seems that we've made a mistake this time. Duan Tianlang took a deep breath, his voice extremely solemn. When he turned around and saw Lin Xian's mocking expression, he was instantly enraged. Damn it, I was tricked. Judging from the other party's expression, it was as if he knew that there was danger ahead of time. However, the other party didn't say anything and didn't even try to stop them. It was obvious that they were trying to trick them. At the thought of this, Duan Tianlang's expression became extremely ferocious. "Kid, don't be so smug. Do you think this can stump us? Let me tell you, the Palace of Ares is much more powerful than you think. Believe it or not, you won't be able to get a single spirit fruit on this tree." Duan Tianlang roared. "You don't have to worry about whether I can get the spirit fruit or not. You want to occupy this place without any ability? You're really boasting shamelessly. Both of you get out of here. Don't delay my attack." Hearing this, Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace trembled with anger. Even the disciples' faces darkened. Duan Tianlang roared and was about to rush up to Lin Xian. However, the elder of the Divine Bird Palace held him back and said coldly, "Brother Duan, don't be rash. That tree demon is so powerful. I'm afraid that only 8th-level venerables can contend with it. No matter how powerful that brat is, he can't reach the combat power of an 8th-level venerables." Hearing this, Duan Tianlang calmed down. I'd like to see what kind of ability this brat has. How dare he mock us?" After saying this, he and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace stepped back and watched coldly. The disciples of the two major forces also sneered. They did not believe that Lin Xian could be stronger than their two elders. Let this brat keep pretending. Let's see how he'll deal with it when he fails. What a joke. Who does he think he is? How dare he try to subdue such a terrifying tree demon? What shameless boasting. Let's see. He'll definitely fail. No one believed that Lin Xian would succeed. Even Zhao Shui looked doubtful. "Lin Xian, do you have a way? If we join forces, we should be stronger than the two of them, but I'm afraid we won't be able to take much. But we can still take 5 or 6 portions." Lin Xian smiled and replied, "There's no need to join forces for the time being. I have a way." Somehow, seeing Lin Xian smile, Zhao Shui felt relieved. She had seen too many miracles happen to Lin Xian along the way. Therefore, she chose to believe in Lin Xian this time. "Brat, can you do it? Do you need me to set up a formation to help you?" The dark red divine dragon was also worried. "No need. Let me try first." Hearing Lin Xian's words, the dark red divine dragon hurriedly explained, "Brat, you must be careful. If I'm not wrong, that ancient tree should be a tree demon. And it's very powerful. I'm afraid it's already at the level of an 8-star demon general. Otherwise, it's impossible that the two of them couldn't even subdue it. From the looks of it now, I'm afraid that only an 8th-level venerate can truly subdue that fellow. However, if we join forces, we might be able to take many spirit fruits." However, Lin Xian still shook his head after hearing that. He naturally knew that the ancient tree in front of him was a tree demon. Moreover, it was an extremely powerful tree demon. In terms of combat power, probably no one could compete with it now. However, it was precisely because it was a tree demon that he had a way to subdue it. In the next moment, he took a step forward, looked coldly in front, and shouted loudly. "I know that you've already activated your spiritual intelligence and can understand what I'm saying. Hand over half of the silver leaves and fruits obediently, and I'll spare your life. What? Chapter 1192. The group of people looked at Lin Xian and laughed maniacally. Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace were also puzzled. When they saw Lin Xian's confidence, they thought that he had some powerful killer move. They didn't expect to see such a comical scene. I was wondering what it was. It's just a clown playing to the gallery. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace sneered. An ant is an ant. How can you expect it to create a miracle? Duan Tianlang also sneered. How dare he go against the palace of Ares with this level of skill? He's courting death. Even Zhao Shui and the dark red dragon were dumbfounded. They didn't expect Lin Xian to threaten them. Zhao Shui's mouth twitched slightly. Her expression was very strange. The dark red dragon covered its face with its dragon claws and wailed. Shameful, too shameful. This brat is hopeless. As far as it was concerned, Lin Xian's actions were simply foolish to the extreme. He had specifically warned that the tree demon was very powerful, but it didn't have any effect. Lin Xian's words were too shocking, so everyone was stunned for a moment. However, no one thought that Lin Xian was telling the truth. Many people laughed at him after hearing it. Even the ancient tree in front of him was enraged when it heard this. An unusually violent and terrifying aura was emitted from the ancient tree. Suddenly, the entire space trembled violently. When the warriors in the distance felt this aura, the mocking expression on their faces disappeared. It was replaced by a horrified expression. This aura was too terrifying. It was far beyond what they could withstand. Even Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace changed their expressions. Fortunately, they didn't continue to attack. Otherwise, they wouldn't have ended well. This aura made both of them tremble with fear. This brat is dead. He angered the tree demon in front. I'm afraid that even an 8th level honorable can't withstand this aura, let alone this brat. Let him pretend. He screwed up this time. Even though the disciples were terrified, they were laughing coldly in their hearts. They wanted to see how Lin Xian would be able to create a clone in the face of certain death. However, Lin Xian wasn't worried at all. He looked at the angry tree demon in front of him and sneered. Then he formed a seal with both hands, and a black ball of light quickly appeared in front of him. The black ball of light flipped and turned into a small black cauldron. That small black cauldron was very simple and unadorned, and there were all kinds of strange beasts carved on it. It gave off a mysterious feeling. The appearance of the black cauldron seemed to have caused the tree ant in front to feel uneasy. The tree ant let out an angry roar, and then countless branches turned into divine spears that quickly pierced forward. Immediately, light soared into the sky, shaking space and time. Although they were far away, everyone could feel the terrifying power within the light. Even the eyelids of Duan Tianlang and the elder of Divine Bird Palace twitched violently. Countless divine rainbow-like lights pierced through the void and quickly pierced toward Lin Xian, enveloping him in an instant. However, in the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian's expression didn't change. He only activated the small black cauldron in front of him and shot out a jet black light. Buzz. The small black cauldron emitted a simple and deep sound. This sound seemed to have a magical quality, and it clearly sounded in everyone's hearts. When the tree ant in front heard this sound, it was as if it had been struck by lightning, and its entire trunk kept shaking. Suddenly, the thousands of mountain-like spear lights disappeared without a trace. What? They disappeared. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. They didn't expect that a sound could make thousands of divine spears disappear. This was too incredible. Not only that, but what shocked them even more was that the ancient tree in front of them was shaking rapidly, as if it had encountered something terrible. Lin Xian held the small black cauldron in his hand and shot out another jet black light into the ancient tree in front of him. Suddenly, the ancient tree in front of them shook even more violently, as if it would collapse at any time. Not only that, but an aged face appeared on the tree trunk. His voice was filled with panic and unease. Stop. Don't hit me anymore. I admit defeat. Admit defeat. The powerful and terrifying Treant actually admitted defeat? How is this possible? Everyone was stunned and couldn't believe it. However, what surprised them was yet to come. The Treant said again, "As long as you stop, I'm willing to hand over half of the leaves and the fire phoenix fruit." Hearing this, everyone's mind went blank and they were dumbfounded. Especially Duan Tianlang and the elders of the Divine Bird Palace, they were even more stunned. Before this, they had fought so hard and only managed to get 2 leaves. Now, Lin Xian only took out a small black cauldron, and the ancient tree in front of them was willing to hand over half of its leaves and fruits. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. The disciples were even more stunned, as if they were watching a myth. Zhao Shui's beautiful eyes were also wide open. She didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a trick up his sleeve. The dark red divine dragon stared at the black cauldron with a suspicious look on its face. Lin Xian was very satisfied. When he discovered the ancient tree in front of him, he had already started discussing with Zero in his body. In the end, Zero agreed to help, but he wanted some interest, which meant he also wanted some silver leaf liquid and fire phoenix fruit. That was the reason for the previous scene. "Hey Ruffian Long, Xiaobai, you two go and search." Soon, the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey flew forward like lightning, and then the two of them started collecting the silver leaf and fire phoenix fruit. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists' faces burned with passion. This was an absolute treasure. It was something that could increase the power of one's martial soul. If they missed this opportunity, they might not be able to find it again in the future. Hence, they were unwilling to give up. Finally, an elder of the Palace of Gods of War couldn't help but make a move. Duan Tianlang didn't stop him, because she also wanted to test if she could succeed. If this elder succeeded, she would lead the people of the Palace of Gods of War to attack quickly. However, this elder was only halfway out when he was whipped back by the tree demon in front of him with a branch. The spirit armor on that elder's body was completely shattered, and the flesh around his wound rolled up, revealing his white bones. Just one whip was enough to severely injure a 7th heaven supremacy. Chapter 1193. Everyone had a share, but the biggest beneficiary was Ling Xian, followed by the Thousand Beast Cauldron. Zhao Shui, the dark red divine dragon, and the others had also received some. It could be said that the harvest this time was very rich. With these silver leaves and fiery phoenix fruits, the strength of Lin Xian and the others would increase again. The dark red divine dragon would recover a lot of its cultivation, while Lin Xian and Zhao Shui could use this to strengthen the power of their martial souls. Especially Lin Xian, he could revive the great dragon sword soul again. Once the great dragon sword soul was revived to the level of a 7th level venerable, his combat strength would greatly increase to a very terrifying level. At that time, even if he encountered a monster at the level of the tree demon, he would not need to use the Thousand Beast Cauldron. He could defeat it with his own strength. Lin Xian and the others were sharing the spiritual fruits, while Duan Tianlang and the people of the Divine Bird Palace in the distance were gnashing their teeth. That was half of the silver leaves and fiery phoenix fruits. If they got it, their cultivation would definitely increase by another level. Therefore, how could they not be jealous? At this moment, they looked at Lin Xian like red-eyed rabbits, staring straight ahead. They could not defeat the ancient tree demon, but this did not mean that they did not dare to attack Lin Xian. The tree demon was an 8-star demon general, and they could not defeat it. However, there were only 2 people on Lin Xian's side, and their strength was comparable to theirs. They had more people on their side, and if they attacked with all their strength, they might be able to defeat the tree demon. Thinking of this, Duan Tianlang was excited. Then, he glanced at the Divine Bird Palace and saw that their eyes were also red, and he immediately grinned. Needless to say, the other party must have the same idea as him, so when their eyes met, they knew what each other was thinking. Keep some distance, don't get too close to the tree demon, or it will be inconvenient for us to attack. Duan Tianlang quickly instructed. Suddenly, the warriors slowly retreated, but they retreated in a very orderly manner, forming a semicircle, directly blocking all of Lin Xian's escape routes. In other words, no matter which direction Lin Xian fled in, he would encounter them unless he chose not to run. Lin Xian naturally noticed Duan Tianlang's actions and immediately sneered. What? You can't get it yourself, so you want to snatch it from me? Brat, you're too greedy. You actually dared to take half of the spiritual fruits. Duan Tianlang snorted, if you know what's good for you, hand over the spirit fruit and the silver leaf, and I can let you live. Otherwise, this will be your burial ground today. Humph, what big words. I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Lin Xian took a step forward, and a terrifying intense soared from his body. Zhao Shui's expression was cold, and 2 rays of cold light shot out from her eyes. She didn't say anything, but her actions showed that she would fight alongside Lin Xian. The dark red divine dragon and the snow-white little monkey were eating spirit fruits while watching the show leisurely. There was no need for them to participate in these battles. Come at me together. None of you is my opponent in a one-on-one fight. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and his eyes shone like a sword light. His body exuded a sharp sword aura, and he looked like a sword immortal. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Duan Tianlang snorted, and then said to the elder of Divine Bird Palace beside him, I'll take people to deal with that brat. Divine Bird Palace, take care of that woman. This time, don't hold back. Don't worry, I won't let them escape this time. The elder of Divine Bird Palace also revealed a ferocious smile. Duan Tianlang nodded with satisfaction, then waved his hand and led the powerful venerables in the team to rush forward. In addition to him, there were 4 warriors at the peak of the 6th heaven of the venerable realm. When the 4 of them worked together, their combat strength was not inferior to that of a 7th heaven venerable. As for the other warriors, Duan Tianlang didn't let them go. This was because to deal with Lin Xian, they had to bring out elite warriors. Otherwise, the others would only cause trouble. Although there weren't many people, Duan Tianlang was quite confident because he had 2 7th heaven venerables on his side. He didn't believe that a 6th heaven of the venerable realm kid could take them on. Although Lin Xian had taken out a small black cauldron to scare the tree demon, in Duan Tianlang's opinion, the small black cauldron only seemed to be effective against demonic beasts. Therefore, Duan Tianlang wasn't that worried. In the next moment, Duan Tianlang roared angrily, and a dazzling light burst out from his eyes. Beside him, the demonic wolf martial soul quickly condensed. With a wave of his hand, the earth demonic wolf roared and let out a terrifying roar that shook the heavens and earth. Seeing that Duan Tianlang had summoned the demonic wolf martial soul, Lin Xian snorted and quickly summoned his humanoid lightning martial soul. Then, the 2 martial souls quickly exchanged blows in the air, bursting with violent energy. It was deafening, like the sound of thunder in the sea. On the other side, the 4-peak 6th heaven ancient martial art practitioners quickly combined to form a set of array formations and rushed towards Lin Xian. The formation was very mysterious. It was a sword formation, and when combined, it exploded with power that wasn't inferior to that of a 7th heaven venerable. At that moment, Lin Xian was still controlling his martial soul to fight with Duan Tianlang. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't have extra energy to deal with the 4-peak martial artists. Zhao Shui, on the other hand, was restrained by the red divine bird and was unable to lend a helping hand. Therefore, in the eyes of the crowd, Lin Xian was completely in danger. However, Lin Xian's expression was rather calm and he did not panic at all. Beside him, the 4 different attributes of wind, lightning, metal, and fire rolled quickly and condensed into 4 light swords. The 4 light swords had different auras, but without exception, they were all filled with murderous aura. They were like shocking dragons that made people tremble in fear. As Lin Xian fought with Duan Tianlang, he stretched out his left hand and drew a line in the air. Suddenly, the 4 light swords beside him made a clanging sound and rushed to the sky, slashing forward. The 4 different powers of wind, lightning, metal, and fire exploded quickly and a powerful force blasted toward the 4 martial artists. Under Lin Xian's control, the 4 light swords exploded with boundless energy. Terrifying sword shadows tore through the sky and slashed the bodies of the 4 martial artists. After one strike, the four-peaked sixth heavenly layer martial artists spat out mouthfuls of blood and flew backwards. The four light swords followed like shadows, leaving sword radiance in the air and slashing down again. In just 2 moves, the formation formed by the 4 sixth heaven venerables was utterly defeated, and the 4 martial artists were seriously injured. There's no need to send people with such strength. They're meaningless to me. Lin Xian's voice was cold. With a wave of his hand, the 4 light swords were summoned back to his side. The 4 light swords quickly circled around him and formed a sword screen. "Brat, you're courting death." When Duan Tianlang saw this, he was mad with anger. He didn't expect the sword formation to be defeated so quickly. Moreover, what shocked him even more was that Lin Xian had maintained a calm demeanor from the beginning to the end of the battle. This voice was unusually cold and emotionless. It was filled with endless murderous intent. Hearing this voice, Duan Tianlang's originally terrified expression eased a little. The disciples around him also quickly cheered. "Senior Brother Yan, that's Senior Brother Yan's voice. Great, Senior Brother Yan Feng is here. That kid is definitely dead. How dare he injure our people? Senior Brother Yan will not let him go." The disciples of Palace of Ares sneered. When Lin Xian heard the voice from behind, he frowned. He naturally knew that Yan Feng was here. However, so what if he was here? The current him was not afraid of Yan Feng. Therefore, without any hesitation, Lin Xian slashed backward with his sword. The long sword swept across the sky, and a huge sword chi shone brightly. It was like a shocking rainbow as it slashed down fiercely. "You are courting death." The voice was furious. He did not expect that Lin Xian would dare to attack. Then, the void split open, and a dazzling blade radiance quickly swept across the sky, violently colliding with the sword chi. When the blade and sword collided, a terrifying wave of energy surged out in all directions. Suddenly, the entire void trembled, and terrifying cracks appeared. "Kid, you are too arrogant. Today I will make you pay with your life." Yan Feng's face was cold, and his eyes were like lightning. It was extremely terrifying. "You can say that after you succeed. If you want the treasure, bring it on." Facing the famous Yan Feng, Lin Xian did not care. He waved his hand, and his expression was full of fighting spirit. Then, without waiting for Yan Feng to attack, Lin Xian strode forward. He was very fast. In one step, he was in front of Yan Feng, and the lone star sword in his hand slashed down fiercely. In his left hand, a sword of thunder quickly condensed and slashed at Yan Feng's waist. In an instant, 2 sword radiances flashed, and both of them attacked Yan Feng's vital points. Seeing this, Duan Tianlang and the elders of Palace of Divine Bird changed their expressions. Their eyes were filled with fear, because they realized that if they were in Yan Feng's position, they would not be able to dodge these 2 sword attacks. Thinking of this, they felt a lingering fear, especially Duan Tianlang, whose body could not help but tremble. This was because he realized that Lin Xian did not use his full strength when fighting with him. Otherwise, he would have been a dead man by now. The surrounding warriors were even more nervous. They did not expect that Lin Xian would dare to attack Yan Feng so fiercely. Moreover, he used 2 killing moves in one move. They could not help but worry about Yan Feng. However, Yan Feng's reputation was not undeserved. His strength was far above Duan Tianlang's. Therefore, in the face of these 2 fatal attacks, he was not nervous at all. He waved the long saber in his hand, forming 2 saber radiances, and quickly slashed out diagonally. The saber slashed at the lone star sword. As for the hidden sword of thunder at his waist, he chose to throw a punch. In an instant, he received Lin Xian's attack. However, Lin Xian's face was calm. He did not have any emotional reaction to these 2 attacks. He knew very well that these 2 attacks would not be able to kill Yan Feng. Otherwise, he would not be Yan Feng. Lin Xian did not retreat. Instead, he took another step forward and quickly flew into the distance. At the same time, the long sword in his hand stabbed out again. Chapter 1195. Yen Feng roared as he brandished his long saber. Countless saber shadows danced in the air, blocking all the sword chi. However, the sword chi contained the power of the great dragon sword soul and was incomparably powerful. Therefore, even if Yen Feng blocked all of them, the terrifying power still caused his long blade to tremble. The entire space was submerged, and countless terrifying cracks spread out. However, he was still extremely powerful, so he managed to neutralize all of Lin Xian's sword chi. Yen Feng was able to block Lin Xian's sword chi. If it were Duan Tianlang and the others, they would have died long ago. However, even though he had neutralized the sword chi, Yen Feng's expression was extremely ugly. Not long ago, he had viewed Lin Xian as an ant. Now, Lin Xian was a threat to him. He couldn't calm down. Although he didn't know why Lin Xian was so strong, he felt that the young man in front of him was a strong enemy. He had to get rid of him as soon as possible. Otherwise, things would be difficult to control in the future. Therefore, Yen Feng didn't plan to hold back. Streaks of dazzling saber aura formed on his body, sweeping in all directions. The long saber in his hand also seemed to have become a sharp and unstoppable killing weapon. Countless saber lights were like the waves of the sea. They were strange and terrifying. That's the 8-ocean abyssal saber. Seeing this, the disciples of the Palace of Gods of War exclaimed, 8-ocean abyssal saber, that's an Earth-class martial art. Senior brother Yen Feng is serious. It seems that Lin Xian is dead for sure. Seeing Yen Feng use the Earth-class martial art, the 8-ocean abyssal saber, hope rose in everyone's hearts. The 8-ocean abyssal saber was an Earth-class martial art. It was an ultimate martial art of the Palace of Gods of War. It wasn't powerful, but it was difficult to cultivate. However, Yen Feng was talented and had cultivated the 8-ocean abyssal saber to 70% completion at such a young age. Generally, 50% completion was the initial stage, but Yen Feng had cultivated it to 70% completion. He had already surpassed the initial stage and wasn't far from the greater stage. Once the Earth-class martial art was used, its power was immediately revealed. Endless saber lights bloomed, and a terrifying aura enveloped heaven and earth. They quickly slashed towards Lin Xian. This time, there was finally a change in Lin Xian's expression. This was because his opponent's saber technique was simply too powerful. However, he was only moved and wasn't afraid, because he also had Earth-rank martial arts. Moreover, he didn't think that he would lose to his opponent in the usage of Earth-rank martial arts. Therefore, at the next moment, Lin Xian brandished his Lone Star sword and performed the Gale Lightning sword technique. A firmament sword shadow covered the sky, and a terrifying aura crushed down on everything. Lin Xian slashed out with his long sword, and a bright light illuminated the entire sky. Sword Chi versus Saber Light, Earth-tier martial arts versus Earth-tier martial arts. The two of them were evenly matched, slaughtering in all directions. In an instant, the entire void was submerged. Terrifying black holes appeared in many places, as if they could devour everything. What? He blocked it? How is this possible? The surrounding disciples were all stunned. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to block Yen Feng's Ocean Abyss 8 sabers. This was truly inconceivable. One had to know that Yen Feng was an extremely powerful 7th Heaven Honorable Realm cultivator, and he had an Earth-rank martial arts. Almost no one could resist him. However, his opponent, a 6th Heaven Honorable Realm cultivator, actually blocked it. Damn it, how is this possible? The disciples of the Palace of Gods of War had ugly expressions. Duan Tianlang's expression was also ferocious because he could also see that Lin Xian's sword technique was also an Earth-rank martial arts. However, this wasn't enough to shock him because he already knew that Lin Xian had an Earth-rank martial arts. What shocked him was that Lin Xian's comprehension of Earth-rank martial arts was actually not inferior to Yen Feng's. This was truly unbelievable. One had to know that Yen Feng was extremely talented, and he was an extremely dazzling existence among the younger disciples of the Palace of Gods of War. Very few people in the younger generation could compete with Yen Feng. Yen Feng was even more shocked. He originally thought that he would be able to kill his opponent with his Ocean Abyss 8 sabers, but he didn't expect his opponent to block it. Especially those huge swords that soared into the sky, they weren't inferior to his saber technique at all. Damn brat, die! Yan Feng roared and swung his saber with all his might. The opponent in front of him was the strangest one he had ever met, so no matter what, he couldn't give his opponent any room to grow. Otherwise, it wouldn't be long before he couldn't suppress his opponent at all. He couldn't allow such a threat to exist, and Lin Xian was someone that the higher-ups of the Palace of Gods of War had ordered to kill. Therefore, no matter what, Yan Feng had to kill him. Brat, I have to admit that you're very strong, but unfortunately, you're definitely going to die. Yan Feng's voice was cold. Ocean Abyss 8 Sabers, Dragon King Tsunami. Suddenly, a huge saber light soared into the sky, and a bone-piercing murderous aura spread out between heaven and earth. A terrifying force surged out, causing all the nearby cultivators to tremble. Even the ancient tree put up a layer of defense, so one could imagine how terrifying the saber light was. Gale Lightning Sword, for swords shatter heaven and earth. At this critical moment, Lin Xian also used a powerful killing move, and 4 firmament sword shadows quickly descended. In an instant, a terrifying sword chi enveloped the entire space, and countless sword lights swept out in all directions. The entire space was quickly annihilated. The terrifying energy exploded, and it seemed like it was going to devour the entire space. Countless cracks appeared in the void, like a spider web, and it made one's heart tremble. Just as the entire space was about to collapse, a blurry light was emitted from Pine Palace, and a mysterious force quickly protected the entire space. It was only because of this mystical power that the entire space quieted down. Otherwise, under such a terrifying impact, it would definitely have collapsed. Although the entire space had calmed down, the terrifying force was still there, and the surrounding cultivators were all heavily injured from the impact. Yan Feng was even more battered and exhausted. His hair was disheveled, and there were sword wounds on his body. One of them had directly slashed his chest, causing his bones to be exposed, and he had almost been cut in half. Defeated, he had actually been defeated in the final confrontation. This was unbearable for him. He was a peak 7th heaven venerable lord, a peerless genius of the younger generation. His combat strength was unparalleled, and even the older generation could only look up to him. However, at this moment, he had been defeated by a 6th heaven venerable lord. This kind of defeat made him crazy. Brat, you have completely infuriated me. I will make you pay a painful price. Yan Feng's expression was ferocious like a demon, and the spiritual energy in his body was rapidly twisting. It was obvious that he wanted to use some kind of secret technique. The surrounding cultivators had yet to recover from their shock, and their expressions changed drastically when they saw Yan Feng going all out. However, they could not stop him in time. Lin Xian's face darkened when he saw this. It was obvious that Yan Feng wanted to fight him to the death, but he did not have the time to waste with him. Moreover, he sensed that there were several powerful forces gathering in the distance. Chapter 1196. Yan Feng wanted to fight Lin Xian to the death. However, Lin Xian did not have the time to waste with him. He sensed that there were several powerful forces gathering in his direction. If he did not leave now, he would be besieged. That would be dangerous. You're no match for me at all. This has already been proven. I don't have time for you. If you want to take revenge, wait until you have a breakthrough in your cultivation. Lin Xian turned to leave. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Yan Feng went crazy. How could he let Lin Xian leave? He had to defeat Lin Xian in order to vent his anger. He chased after him like a meteor. You are courting death. Lin Xian was furious when he saw that Yan Feng was not going to let him go. In the next moment, he took out the red lotus boxing glove and put it on his left hand. Then he slammed it behind him. Boom! The sky cracked again and a huge red palm shadow descended from the sky. It quickly slapped Yan Feng's body and sent him flying. The hard ground had already been shattered. There was a huge palm print on it, and in the middle of the palm print lay an extremely wretched figure. That figure was Yan Feng. At this moment, Many of his bones were broken and he had suffered severe internal injuries. However, this was nothing compared to the mental damage he had suffered. Shock, fear, disbelief, and all kinds of emotions filled his heart. This scene was too shocking. Yan Feng had seriously injured him with a single palm. This was completely beyond his imagination. In fact, he was not the only one. The warriors around him were even more shocked. They knew very well who the person in front of them was. None of them were a match for Yan Feng. However, such a powerful person had been injured by a single palm. This shocked them. Impossible. What was that red palm shadow? How could it be so powerful? Duan Tianlang was terrified. The elders of the Divine Bird Palace were not much better. Thinking of their previous attitude towards Lin Xian, they felt a burst of fear. If Lin Xian had used that thing to deal with them from the beginning, they would have been dead by now. Thinking of this, they looked at the departing figure with faces full of fear. The last palm strike was naturally the power of the red lotus gloves. It wasn't that Lin Xian didn't want to keep using it, but it consumed a lot of energy. If he hadn't been forced into a corner, Lin Xian wouldn't have used this move. However, he was still very satisfied with the effect of this palm strike. Although he had used up a lot of his energy, he had still managed to injure Yan Feng. Without anyone stopping them, Lin Xian called out to Zhao Shui and quickly left the area. Not long after Lin Xian and the others left, several powerful figures quickly descended. Among them was the mysterious expert from the Palace of Ares. He looked at the scene around him and furrowed his brows. The arrival of the mysterious expert allowed the people from the Palace of Ares to heave a sigh of relief. Their expressions eased quite a bit. However, the mysterious venerable master did not pay attention to those ordinary disciples. Instead, he stared at Yan Feng. Then he took out a pill from his storage ring and gave it to Yan Feng. Yan Feng took the pill and quickly swallowed it. Immediately, the injuries on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, he was as good as new. However, his expression was very ugly. The shadow of his defeat was still lingering in his heart. At this moment, the mysterious venerable master said in a deep voice, "Don't worry, we won't let that kid off. Not to mention other things, just that kid's identity is enough to kill him 1,000 times." "I know." Yan Feng nodded silently. "Are you unhappy that you lost to him? Don't worry, we'll attack this tree demon now. After you swallow the fire phoenix and your strength increases, I'll let you deal with that kid personally." Hearing this, Yan Feng's eyes gradually regained their luster. He clenched his fists and his voice was extremely ferocious. "Lin Xian, I'll take revenge for what happened today 100 times over." Lin Xian and Zhao Shui left the ancient tree and found a quiet place to rest. This place was very remote, and there were no precious treasures around. Furthermore, the dark red divine dragon had set up a formation, so it was very safe. Then, Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and began to tidy up the spoils of war. There were actually only two things, the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit. Lin Xian had a total of 10 fire phoenix fruits and 50 silver leaves. These were not to be underestimated. They were enough to make an 8th heaven venerable master and even a 9th heaven venerable master go crazy. However, the martial soul could only be improved when the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit were used together. In this way, Lin Xian had a total of 10 silver leaves. As for the extra silver leaves, he did not plan to waste them. This was because these silver leaves could increase one's soul power. They were priceless treasures to him. Lin Xian took a silver leaf and began to cultivate his soul power. Feeling the changes in his soul power, Lin Xian smiled. Then, he took out a few more silver leaves and began to cultivate quickly. Half a day later, Lin Xian's soul power broke through and reached the level of a 7th-tier alchemist. Now, he could refine 7th-tier pills without the 1,000-beast cauldron. Once he used the 1,000-beast cauldron, he could even refine 8th-tier pills. This was undoubtedly a huge breakthrough for him. One had to know that a 7th-tier alchemist was already very precious, and an 8th-tier alchemist was even rarer. If he could refine an 8th-grade pill, his identity alone would be enough for him to be treated as a guest of honor by countless great forces. After his soul power increased, Lin Xian began to use the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit at the same time. This time, he wanted to raise the power of the great dragon sword soul to the 8th heaven venerable master. It had been 3 days since they entered the deep pine hall. In these 3 days, they seemed to have entered a treasure vault. This was because almost every place had natural treasures that were hard to find in the outside world. These people were crazily collecting. They were desperately trying to increase their strength. For a time, even the threat of the heavenly netherbird was reduced by a lot. There were many martial artists gathered near a huge rock as if they were guarding something. Sitting on the boulder was a young man with a cold expression. If there were others here, they would definitely recognize this young man as Yan Feng from the Palace of Gods of War. Suddenly, a powerful spiritual energy erupted from Yan Feng's body. It was like a volcano erupting in an instant. Chapter 1198. Jiao Gongzi clapped his hands happily. Don't worry. As long as this matter is completed, I won't mistreat any of you. Thank you, Jiao Gongzi. The group of cultivators rejoiced. They had no choice. Although they were all disciples of the Shen family, there was still a big gap between their status and Jiao Gongzi's. If they could help Jiao Gongzi complete this mission, their status in the family would definitely rise greatly when they returned. Thinking of this, many of them felt excited. The middle-aged man who had spoken earlier also used a secret technique. Immediately, a series of crackling sounds came from his body. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the middle-aged man turned into Lin Xian. His height and appearance were exactly the same. Upon closer inspection, it was impossible to tell the difference. Jiao Gongzi also clapped his hands and cheered. That kid is a swordsman. You must pay attention to that. Also, his cultivation is not high, so you must hide a part of it. However, when you attack, you must display the strength of a 7th heavenly layer. Don't worry, Gongzi. I guarantee that I will complete the mission. After that, the fake Lin Xian laughed nastily. He quickly used his movement technique and ran into the distance. In front of a palace, several elders were rapidly attacking a defensive light screen. Behind these people were many cultivators. Among them was a beautiful woman in a purple dress. Unexpectedly, they could find cold light iron here. What a pleasant surprise. This woman was naturally Murong Qingqing. At this moment, her beautiful eyes were looking at the pieces of metal in the light screen in front of her, and she smiled. The silver-haired granny also smiled at the side. Yes, cold light iron is an excellent material for refining weapons. It is already extinct in the outside world. Unexpectedly, it can be found here. Moreover, from the looks of it, there are quite a lot of them. Looking at the pieces inside, if refined, they can be refined into at least 3.5 Earth-grade treasures. This is a huge fortune for any family. In front, several elders were attacking the light screen with all their might. These elders were very strong. When they worked together, the light screen trembled. The light screen did not last long. Cracking sounds came from it and it finally shattered like glass. Great! The seal is broken. The disciples of the Murong clan cheered. Murong Qingqing also smiled. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared. He was as fast as lightning as he dashed towards the few pieces of cold light iron. Who is it? You're courting death. The few elders at the front were furious. They didn't expect that someone would dare to take something that belonged to the Murong family. Immediately, many people made their moves. However, that figure was very strange. He actually dodged all the attacks and quickly snatched the 2 pieces of cold light iron. There were a total of 4 pieces of cold light iron on the ground, and at this moment, half of them were gone. This immediately provoked the Murong family members. Damn it! Stay here. An old man was enraged. He reached out with a terrifying hand that covered the entire area. The surrounding warriors also quickly took action. They formed an encirclement to stop that person. The giant hand that covered the skies slammed down mercilessly. It was as if tens of thousands of giant mountains were crashing down from the sky. At the critical moment, that person snorted coldly, and then a dazzling sword light flashed. The dazzling sword chi fiercely chopped down on the huge hand that covered the sky. Immediately, the old man was forced to take a few steps back, and the figure appeared in the sky. "What? It's you." When the surrounding people saw the figure, they were all stunned. Even Murong Qingqing was dazed for a second. "Lin Xian, why are you here?" Murong Qingqing was very surprised. The other cultivators were exceptionally enraged as well. All of them blocked the other party's path. Murong Qingqing was also stunned. She couldn't understand why Lin Xian would attack her clan members. She simply couldn't believe it. However, if this was a fake Lin Xian, then where was the real Lin Xian? Why hasn't he emerged after so many days? Her heart was in a mess. However, at that moment, Lin Xian sneered and his sword lit up once again. Chapter 1200. This was because those disciples had not reached the 7th level of the Honorable Realm, so they could not resist his sword energy. "How dare you, kid? I'm going to kill you. Despicable, come at me if you have the guts." The group of Murong family elders roared angrily and charged forward with all their might. However, the figure did not fight them at all. Instead, he chose to attack a few disciples. A ray of sword light was like a murderous sword as it swiftly slashed toward a disciple's head. This attack was extremely sharp. If the disciple was hit, he would definitely die. The elders behind him roared angrily, but they could not stop it in time. In an instant, everyone's faces were filled with rage and despair. The disciple who was being attacked was even more dazed as he stood rooted to the ground. This was because he could not dodge it at all. Just as everyone thought that the disciple was about to die, the void suddenly fluctuated. A ray of ice flew past and formed an ice wall, instantly blocking the sword energy. Then, another ray of lightning flashed and shattered the sword energy. This action was extremely swift and was completed in an instant. Lin Xian gasped softly because he did not expect that someone would be able to block his attack. Then, his face darkened as he looked behind him. His pupils shrank as he stood rooted to the ground. She was not the only one who was stunned. Everyone was stunned as well. The Murong family cultivators' minds were blank as they stared in front of them in disbelief. Murong Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that she had guessed correctly. It turned out that the people who had appeared behind them were Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. The Murong family members did not expect to see two Lin Xian at the same time, so they stood rooted to the ground in shock. Murong Qingqing knew that her guess was correct. This meant that the Lin Xian from before was a fake. This way, the crisis between Lin Xian and her family could be considered resolved. At this moment, even the Murong family elders understood what had happened. They glared fiercely at the figure. "So you're a fake? Speak, what's your motive for deliberately trying to destroy us? Why are you wasting your breath on him? Capture him. I want to see who he really is." I don't care which power they belong to. Since they dared to provoke the Murong family, we must take revenge. The elders shouted coldly, their eyes burning with anger. It was too dangerous. If it weren't for Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's timely appearance, they would have suffered heavy losses. Moreover, in the future, they would take revenge on Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. This way, the person who acted in the dark would benefit from it. The Murong family had dominated the Sky Martial continent for so many years, and had never been schemed against by others. Thus, they could not swallow this anger. Lin Xian sneered as he looked at the figure. "You're pretty smart. Even I couldn't identify you." On the other hand, the fake Lin Xian had an ugly expression on his face. He didn't expect to meet the real Lin Xian at this time. This was something he had never expected before. Because the real Lin Xian hadn't appeared for the past few days, he didn't take it to heart. Furthermore, before he made his move, he had placed spies in the surroundings. As soon as the real Lin Xian appeared, those spies would sound the alarm. When that happened, he would immediately leave. However, he never expected that the spies he had placed would be discovered by Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. Furthermore, they had been silently killed by the two of them. Therefore, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's arrival didn't alarm anyone. Naturally, the fake Lin Xian didn't know about it. The fake Lin Xian gritted his teeth and said, "Brat, you're lucky today. However, one day you'll fall into our hands." With that, he took out 2 balls of light the size of longhans from his storage ring.